Welcome to Grant's Rock Warehouse. And of course, Byron and both Peter are just running around, but that's okay.
We're here.
This is kind of, well, it's not impromptu, but this is kind of like a
Sorry about
Friday
that.
night chat on Sunday, but it's also my first birthday. So we've hit, I don't know. I figure we do it. Well, I've been doing all these damn yacht rock and power pop shows on the weekend. So we haven't really done like a Friday night chat or anything for a while. So I figure, what the hell? It's Sunday and there's one person watching. It's Sunday. I figure, why not just get together and just shoot the shit, so to speak.
Well, happy anniversary.
It is.
Or
There's Zeb.
No.
Hey, Zeb. How are you? Nice to see you.
I got a little surprise for you tonight too. So,
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, my wife's going to bring it down here in a second.
Really? I'm not sure what that means, Byron, but
she's going to jump out of a cake for you.
Oh, I'll take that. I'll take that. But yeah, I figured we do an impromptu chat. It's the first birthday. Everything's freaking great. I wish I could complain about something, but I can't. I love to complain too, but I can't complain. Everything's great. So I want to welcome, well, we've got two people. We got Byron and we've got Peter here tonight. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on. And normally when we do these chats, it's wide open. We can talk about whatever you want, but a lot of times when we've done these before, it's always about showing what we've gotten new, because it's always fun to share with the class anything you've gotten new, to show off a bit. It's kind of like show and tell. But I do want to mention something real quick before we get started. But let me give the link. I should probably give the link out in case there's somebody who wants. Oh, Zeb, rest in peace, Ray. Yes.
Yeah.
We've had two.
Keith Reed too.
And Keith Reed, Zeb. Come on, you're slipping. But yeah, we've had two, three at least. All I can say is the longer I live, the more these people seem to pass away and die. Oh, look at this. What is this?
It's your first birthday cake for your show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's very nice.
Thought we'd have a little bit of a prop for tonight.
I need a prop.
There you go.
Need more. I need a lot of props.
I'll blow it out for you since you can't do it.
I appreciate it. Oh yeah, there we go. Thank you, Mayo Ryder. Thanks for the shout out. Yeah, it's a birthday celebration. So let me throw the link. Zeb, you gonna come on tonight? Because you never show up for anything.
He's probably ready to go to bed.
I'd like to see Zeb come on. He doesn't even come on Rachel's show. I'd like to see that. Like and shared. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. It is a great. Hey, D, welcome. Hey, nice to see you show up. It is a great day. It's a great day to be alive. Slipping, it's 1 at night here. I need to sleep, but I'll stay for 10 to 15 minutes. Zab, for God's sakes, you're like my biggest supporter.
Yes, he is.
You're like my biggest supporter, and
Ernesto too, though.
Where is Ernesto? I'm sure he's here. Yeah. But Zeb's always been a big supporter. Whenever I go like on Rachel's channel, Rachel's Ghost, he's always going, please check out Grant's channel. So I really do owe a lot to Zeb for promotion, whatever you want to call it. He's been a big supporter, as you two gentlemen, and I appreciate that. And then, of course, Carol Arthur, my wife.
Where would you be without her?
I don't know, but she's here for the birthday celebration.
Yeah.
And she is the best. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Thanks, Carol, for coming on. It means a lot to me, to be quite honest. Myra, happy birthday to Yes. Thank you so much. Oh, you're watching from the Philippines. I like that. What time is there? I don't know what that means, but it's 7:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. So let me throw out the link. I'll throw out the link. Birthday, huh? Yeah, it's the Carol. See, no one's keeping track. It's It's my 1 year. The YouTube channel's 1 year old. Byron, show her the damn cake. See, there you go. 1 year old.
I take it she's working remotely these days?
Well, she's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, all right. Somebody's got to make that money.
Well, I know. She said she should know that. She should know that. I just want to say, I want to give a shout out to Carol. She's been oh my God, such a supporter for this. And without her, I could not do it. Seriously. I'm just saying, if I haven't, I can't have a bigger supporter than her. Oh, look, see, Byron, look at you. Zeb.
It's mostly my wife's idea, but
Well, Teddy's a big supporter. I don't know where Teddy is, but he's around here somewhere. All right, let me throw out the link real quick if I can find it. Where is the link?
where would any of us be without our wives?
I know. Well, she keeps me together to some degree. But she's working remotely. So, I'm running the show here by myself. So it's questionable, See, she says true. See, you're right. You're right. Totally right. But it is questionable. But hold on. Let me throw out. Wait a minute. We're in the show. How am I going to throw out the link?
As a comment?
Oh, here's Davy. Davy, hey, man.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
Well done. Good evening and happy birthday to you, Grant.
Thank you very much. Byron, show him the cake. There you go.
That's good because I've brought the booze.
You did? Good. I might have to go down and get a beverage myself because it is a celebration.
I thought I'll have a wee drink, and then I thought, fuck it, I'll have a large one.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming on, but
If you drink out the glass, it takes time. Just straight for the. Oh Jesus!
Oh, here's okay. Here we go. In the chat, I'm going to put the link out to anybody who wants to come on and say hey, because basically it's Sunday night. What are we doing, gentlemen? We're hanging out. We're going to talk some. I don't know. I figure we could talk about some new stuff we have bought because that's always fun. So anyway,
And you know what, Grant? It's such a strange, but yet amalgamation of all things lining up today. I actually have, when we get there, I have physical media to show you. Me.
See, you know what,
You don't normally
gentlemen,
buy, right? Yeah.
all of us with our physical media is finally, it's done something to Peter. It's kind of worn off on him. And there he is. All right, everybody. It's okay. Ernesto is here.
We can start.
Okay, we can start the program. Now that Carol has chimed in,
And now that
Zeb
Davy-
has chimed in, and Davy's here.
Dave's voice will
Things are
sound
gonna-
somewhere between Kathleen Turner and
But Dave, Ernesto, I got to have you on here. So get on when you get home. I appreciate it. Because he's always been a big supporter of this channel.
Yeah. You guys see my Rock Fantasy shirt my wife bought me when she was in New York? That's Steve Keeler's store.
Keeler's place. Yeah.
Yeah. We're familiar with Steve's work.
She was up there, swung in there to get me a shirt. That's pretty nice, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's Rich. Rich, you coming on? The link is below if you want to come on and say hey. And thank you, Rich. I appreciate it.
Bring booze. This one's nearly done.
But bring booze. God, you know what, Davey? I'm going to have to go down and
Ice
get
cream,
something
too. We
to
need some
drink.
ice cream.
Hey, this was filled 20 minutes ago.
Oh, bullshit. You know that's bullshit.
Paltry amount left. Paltry amount.
There's Brian C. Hey, thank you so much, Brian. You can come on too. Like I said, the link is here. If you guys want to come on and shoot the shit with us, bring on some stuff that maybe you've bought recently. Oh, DC, thank you. I appreciate it. I got a show planned with DC in the future. We got something cooking. So there you go. Mile Rider 27. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But it's great. I don't know. What can I say? Has anybody gotten? I get all giddy with you guys here. Look, Byron's eating my cake.
Somebody's got to eat it. You can't eat it.
Holy shit! I don't know what that means. So, Davey, you really didn't drink all that, did you?
Not in one sitting. It was between two.
Okay, well,
Between 2 and 3 o'clock. Sorry.
What time is it right now?
Tomorrow.
At what time? Don't you have to work?
10 minutes past midnight.
Oh well, then it's
That's
the night
early.
is young.
That's
It's early.
early.
It's
The night
early.
is young, and so am I. So, cheers, whoever's birthday it is again.
Yeah. God, I'm gonna have to go down and get a beverage now. You're getting me all worked up.
Say this Navy rum does the trick. Those boys know what they're up to in the Navy.
They do. Hey, but I do want to. Okay, I have to turn you guys onto something. Now, there was somebody in a recent show that mentioned these CDs. Have you guys ever heard of the band from the early 80s called Mayday? I think they were on Elektra, or maybe I think they were on Elektra. Oh my God. Let me have to put on my spectacles. I can't. Thanks, Kathy. I appreciate it. You coming on to say hello? Okay, came out on 80. Okay, this album came out 1982 on A&M. And I think this one came out in 80. Oh, this might have came out in 82 too. Both of these records, the first record and this came out. But someone had recommended it. Basically, I think it was from like the Power Pop channel, or maybe there was some show. And I am sorry if I can't remember who recommended this. But, oh my God. If you like Journey, you like Power Pop, you like what else can I say? AOR. These guys, Mayday, I had never heard of them. But like I said, I was recommended this, and I've been playing this for like 3 days. It's kind of quirky to some degree.
Long album.
Huh?
Long album. 3 days. Jeez
Well,
Louise.
you know what I mean. They only put out 2 records, and I'm assuming they were dropped. I would love to do a show on these because I think these are 2 releases that I think people need to hear. But the thing about, well, you guys probably have rock candy stuff, except for Peter. But yeah, that label always tends to put out things where about bands who probably haven't sold anything, or they're very obscure, right?
Yeah.
I love that label. I love that. And their packaging's always really good. The liner notes are great. I really have nothing to complain about. But someone had turned me on to this. Mayday. Highly recommend it. Like I said, I've been listening to it for 5 days straight, 24 hours a day, according to Davy.
So picked Mayday up on Payday.
I would recommend it.
Payday.
And it's funny. I'm surprised this slipped through the cracks back in the early 80s, but
It's all promotion, isn't it?
yep, it is. It is all about promotion.
I mean, look at this fella here. He's not even a real captain. Like Captain Morgan.
You know what, Davey? When I was on that 80s cruise, I felt like a captain.
That's you. That is you, my friend. That is you on the.
I should have wore that outfit.
You'd rock.
Well,
that.
Grant,
Yeah.
speaking of influences while we have shows,
Yes.
You and I have talked several times about various artists and things.
Yeah. I've got that. I turned you on to that, right?
That was your suggestion, yes.
Though, okay, the CD is a 3 record. It's a 3 CD set that was put out by, I can't remember, but it was through like one of those. You ever seen like PBS shows where they try to push something so you can become a subscriber?
It shows A&M proper, but
okay.
Is it one of those like Kenny Rogers would host the infomercial kind of thing and say like, "Hi, I'm Kenny Rogers"?
No. Well, no, not really. Okay.
Feel the hits of the '60s with me and country style.
If anybody knows how the Carpenters work, Richard Carpenter basically is running the show, and he has remixed the Carpenters catalog. God knows how many
multiple times.
Now, the CD that Peter was holding up is the only collection that's ever been released that's got the original,
all the original mixes.
All the original mixes. I mean, they're all the singles, but they're the original singles. Now, if you get on like Steve Hoffman's site or whatever, there's a lot of hardcore people over there. We all want the original mixes. We don't like remixes, even though the Pink Floyd Animals, big improvement.
A present camp over there, though, if you say the wrong thing, isn't it? Jeez.
There's 66 total tracks on here.
Right.
Does it have calling occupants of interplanetary craft?
Is that B-sides too, or is it just all A-sides?
No, it's got the B-sides on there.
B-sides too. Yeah.
How the Carpenters covered Klaatu is one of the great mysteries of life.
Oh, wait a minute. God, I'm missing out all this. Holy crap, there's conversations I'm missing. Rich says he can't join, unfortunately. I wanted to pop in and say, thanks for including me on your great channel. Here's to another year or 3. Holy crap. And guess who's here, gentlemen? I don't want to say anything, but guess who's here?
Well, you're going to make us guess. Then we'll go down and it'll be terribly embarrassing. So I'm going to say Barack Obama.
Well, I couldn't do this without him, and he's
Barack
here.
Obama?
No.
It's Paul McCartney.
It's Todd Evans, everybody. Everybody give Todd Evans let's give Todd Evans a hand.
Todd Evans. Now Todd must be the number one. He's a co-host. He's not a guest. He's the co-host.
Well, kind of.
Come on.
Well, no. Right.
He's been on more shows.
I said this the other night, but
he's your Ed McMahon.
Kind of. But when I first started the channel, he was one of the first people that said, "Oh yeah, I'm in," and we started the whole Matthew Sweet thing, and that was at the very beginning. So I mean, I couldn't have done it without Todd, and we've done several interviews with people. I'm not saying he's, you know what I mean. I've
seen the videos without Todd, and you're right. You certainly can't do it without him.
As Davy drinks his Captain Morgan.
That's just me sipping away while I throw some salt.
I'm gonna have to go down and get a beverage.
Hey,
Stop it, Davy.
Byron has cake.
All right.
Let's
Byron, show the cake to Todd so Todd knows what's happening. There you go.
Birthday cake.
But yeah, thanks, Todd, for coming on. We're just kind of hanging out, shooting the breeze. Did you see what I was recommending, though? Mayday? I mean, there was a Power Pop episode or something, but these are on Rock Candy. This is a band that was out on, what did I say? What label were they on?
Yeah, Electra.
A&M in the early 80s. 2 records, kind of got overlooked, but someone recommended me. They said these are killer. If you like AOR, Power Pop, Journey or whatever, these are on Rock Candy.
I've seen that one in your right hand, but not the other one.
Okay. Holy crap, Todd. I've been listening to these for like 4 days straight.
And 3 days a minute ago. Time flies.
You know what, baby? Shut the hell up.
A whole day's gone by.
I know. No, I'm really recommending these because I'm surprised these slipped through the cracks. And if you guys, I don't work for Candy, Rock Candy or anything.
You should.
I'm just saying, but a lot of those releases that they have, the fact that they're putting these old bands out there that introduce it to the public, I love it. I'm just saying. I highly recommend. This is great. I'm surprised.
I found this the other day. It's on Rock Candy. The Carrie Livgren.
Oh yeah, Carrie Livgren.
I've got that, but it's the Japanese import.
Oh, I got this at a thrift store for $3 for $1.
Oh, I hate you.
It looks like
I
it's
haven't seen it
unplugged.
in a long time.
Sounded really good.
Sadly, you can't fix Barrymore Barlow's totally outdated drum sound.
Yeah, actually, I do remember that part of it.
Well, what year did that come out? Like 81?
Dio was in 7th. 80.
80.
Yeah.
I mean, I like what Dio brought to the table on that. I mean, it's okay. Who else sang on that? I didn't know we were going to talk about it. Byron, who else was on that?
So we got Steve Walsh sings on one song.
Yeah.
David Pack sings on it.
Yeah.
Barrymore Barlow, like we said. That's pretty much most of it. I mean, some of the guys on Kansas are backing on, I think, the one track that Steve Walsh sings on too. So, because
what, 80? What did New Vision, Audio Visions, what year did that come out? 80,
That was
81?
80, I think.
80, I think, as well.
I mean,
And then
that
the
was
Steve
like-
Walsh album came out right at the same time as this as well.
And I think Rock Candy put that Steve Walsh album out too. Anybody ever hear
They
that?
did. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have.
it's
I
all
don't have a physical copy of it, but I have the files. And
You've heard it. Is it
Yeah.
any good?
oh, the Steve Walsh album.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about it. I'm not
No.
crazy about any Kansas solo material.
Now,
I know that sounds really cranky of me, but
no, that's all
I'm
right.
just not
No.
crazy about them.
Well, there was another band after Steve Walsh left Kansas. There was a band that he started up called
Streets.
Streets, yeah.
Has anybody heard that? I know Rock
Yeah,
Candy.
oh, yeah.
knows it.
I used
What
to
is
have
it again?
them. But I've sold them over the
When I
years.
was
No
working
good?
in the record store, everybody was really excited about Streets. so
Yeah,
we played it all the time.
a reputation better than the record, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
Well, I can say in Central Ohio, that went by and no one talked about it. I had never even heard of it unless I just kind of
Oh.
read about it. It did nothing.
Well, the guitarist on there was Mike Slamer. Was it he like in City Boy?
He was in City Boy.
yes, hey boy, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody like City Boy? I got some of their stuff and I listened to it, but I could never really get into it. I don't know.
I need to hear it some more.
There's so much music in the world that have so little time for okay.
Right.
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 You know? I'll listen to it and go, that was perfectly fine, and I never need to hear it again in my life. So.
Well, I've got a lot of stuff here that's just okay, but it's like a library. So,
Oh, you want to curate?
well, I can't help it.
You know, they don't put your kids' drawings next to the Mona Lisa just because that's a drawing too, do they? Come on.
So, in other words, I should eliminate inventory.
yes.
Look, Don says happy
Yeah,
birthday
trade
to
them
my
in
bro.
and get yourself something nice.
Nah, I can't. Thanks, Don. I appreciate it. Thanks for chiming in. But yeah.
Grant,
anybody-
does that QR code work on your shirt? Does it
Yeah.
take you to the warehouse?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got t-shirts made like for the boat when I was on the cruise.
Oh, okay. That was a good idea.
Yeah. So if someone, like
Someone scanned you
Carol,
on the street.
Carol and her sister and her friend Irene, I got like tank tops made for them. They want a tank top. I said, I'll take care of it. If you guys wear them, I'll take care of it.
Well, where's the beanies, Grant? Where's the beanies? I will buy your
They
beanies.
don't have that. They don't have that.
I will rock it, man.
It's through T Public. They don't have that.
The Republic
That's-
of War.
That's weird that they don't have beanies because those are so popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Face
would get that.
masks. Although someone tells me they've become a bit less popular in the last year or two. I don't know why.
I can't imagine why they wouldn't be
It's
popular.
just like, pumpkin sales in November. Seems to be a dip at that time of year. I don't know why.
So anyway, I know we're just shooting the shit, but is there anything that anybody's gotten lately that you want to share with the class? Because I love just sharing.
I got this the other day.
What
Archives?
is that? Arc? Is that
Yeah, archives.
That's
on
archives.
on
cassette.
cassette?
Yeah, wait, hang on.
Hey, it's Todd. He loves his cassettes.
Oh, I know. I've never seen that on cassette.
I'm super picky about cassettes. I don't buy any cassettes unless they're really cheap, or these were really cheap. And then this is cool.
Yeah, that's a great
That's
concert.
a Bronski
Except for it's
beat? You
only
can't tell
it's
what that
only
is.
the
purple.
first one. So this is number
Oh.
1.
Mhm.
So this is only Speed King, Rain That Neck, Child in Time, and Mandrake Root. And I assume that the rest of it is on a second cassette.
Yeah, the second one is a show from '72.
And what label is that on? Because
Well,
those.
this is an import. So it's on Harvest.
Harvest.
Oh,
which is
look at
cool.
that. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
So
that's
these
a
were-
great live set.
Yeah, it's very good. These were in a batch of cassettes that were brought into the record store near me, and they were very dirty. And the guy who owns the store was basically like, "Those are $1 a piece if you'll take them and clean them." So
Is
it's
this
like, no
the
problem.
record store that you took me to?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
5 years ago, I wouldn't even have been able to get the dollar.
right. I know.
See, DC doesn't have any time for okay music. I
Never
get it.
have time for okay music, except nothing but the best.
But you don't
Hey,
know.
look,
if
it's
okay
Mrs.
until you-
BM Bolt.
If you don't listen to it, you don't know if it's okay or good.
Shh,
You got to
Byron,
give it at least a shot.
Yeah,
Byron,
you give it a
quiet.
shot, but then you can give it a.
Gentlemen, be quiet. It's Mrs. BM Bolt. Happy birthday, Grant. Thanks for giving Byron a chance to chat about his love of music. Oh, that is so
Music
sweet.
was my first love.
Mrs. B.M. Bold, are you trying to say that he needed an outlet?
And it will be my life.
You know, I'm retired. I got to keep busy doing things. So
I figured you'd be out like trimming, edging the yard and stuff like that.
the grass is starting to get greener now.
I'll tell you,
I had to do that today.
I'm going to
my
fertilize this week.
backyard. We have quite a bit of water because we had that tornado thing the other night. The tornado warning went right through. And then Teddy and I got up in the middle of the night because the sirens were going off. But our backyard's a little bit too mushy for me to even go out. But we always get that every year. DC gives an album 2 listens before he weighs in.
Yeah.
2 listens, but if I'm not sure about it, I won't do it back to back. I'll come back in a different mood.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because the album, sometimes I'm responsible, not the album. So,
So Mrs. B.M. Bolt, there's Heavy Petting. That's going to premiere tonight at 9:00.
That's why I showed it.
Kathy Farrell Moore, I bought 100 plus cassettes, 100 plus albums, and 50 plus CDs, all for $50 this week. Mostly country and Western stuff. I'll be making some money on Marketplace. You might.
She's talking my language here.
You'll be selling all those Connie.
That's what she does. She looks for all these deals, and then she turns them around. But I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to look at it.
Porter Wagner can build you a house.
I don't think Porter Wagner sells very much, Davy.
Well, Jimmy Carter could build you a house there.
Out of his wheelchair, probably. Yes, he probably could. So anybody else get anything cool?
I got these at the Goodwill the other day for $1 a piece.
See, you got Conway Twitty and Bo Diddley.
Conway Twitty, jeez.
So this is rockabilly. I had no idea. It's not bad.
What is that, like 58?
Yeah, only make believe.
57? What year is that?
I think this was 59.
Yeah, it's got to be late 50s, early 60s, yeah.
I believe this was 59, and I think this might be 60.
What album is that from Bo Diddley? A Gunslinger?
In the Spotlight.
Yeah.
They're nice shape, too.
How much did you pay for those?
$1 a piece at the Goodwill.
Well, I think they're probably worth more than that.
Bo Diddley's priceless.
So, yeah, I don't normally buy stuff that old. But
this isn't a joke. I went to see a Bo Diddley show, and there was a sign on the ferry. That's an actual ferry where you go to the show, and the sign at the door said, "Cancelled due to Bo Diddley having had a stroke." I thought, well, that's a bit dramatic, but yeah, sure enough, he had a stroke that very.
We love Bo's work.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of Bo's.
He died shortly afterwards, so I don't think he was faking it.
Golly, DC, that's kind of depressing. He purged his collection 4 years ago, kept the songs I love.
I don't like the word purged.
Got it few.
Yeah, I've done that a few times.
I used to do that in college
a few times
when I needed money.
Sometimes I buy vinyl because I see something and it's in really good shape, and then I take it home and it sits for 2 years. And then 2 years later, I look at it and go, I don't really want this. So yeah. I brought a stack about this big a couple of 3-4 days ago to my buddy and got some cash for it.
I can't do that, Todd. I just can't seem to do that.
You will be able to do it when you get older.
I'm the contrarian here.
Todd,
I took all my stuff, downloaded it all at high-res FLAC, and I only have this small little section of physical stuff. If I find something, if I love it, I burn it, and then I either give it back for someone else to.
Oh, don't burn it. So that's a bit drastic.
I know.
Until your hard drive crashes.
Hey, you guys, I got a couple of things. I got this. A nice
OMD
promo cover of
OMG,
which is nice. And then
is that a white label promo?
It's A&M, so not really. It's just a regular label.
The 40th Dazzle ships haven't just come out.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like anybody ever played it. But
well, usually when you find those, no one's ever played those.
And then I got this copy of Sky Moves Sideways.
Porcupine Tree, right?
I went to another friend's record store.
Nice.
And
it's a good album.
said that somebody brought in their entire collection, and he had all of the Porcupine Tree albums. Wow! And he was selling them for 38, which I thought was good because
It's not a fan base that you'd think would give up the whole collection.
Yeah, well, he gave up everything.
Well, I was at Half Price Books like 2 years ago, and someone had given up all their Porcupine Tree CDs. And they were only like $4.99. They didn't really know who they were.
So I
just bought them off. There were like
you never see that stuff.
7 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
I have to show you this. My sister bought this for me for my birthday a couple of days ago. And think of the album that you see most in like thrift stores and antique stores. Just start thinking of albums that you see all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a new 180-gram copy of Whipped Cream of Their Delights.
I only know that as a meme from being an American like, dollar store.
I've got a stereo copy of that in a mono
50th anniversary.
Over here, he was just a record exec.
And it feels right. And it feels kind of stupid to have it because I could buy it for $0.25. But
well, they sold so many of those.
It may be fun to just constantly
but
buy
it's a
it,
classic.
get rid of it, and then try and find another one as soon as possible and see how often you can do that.
It's a classic record, though. It's classic.
They're good.
There's a funny photograph. It's probably, you guys have probably seen it. There's some guy that collects them, and he has a whole room full of Whipped Cream and Other Delights.
Yes, yeah. And he's
hey,
done
Pete, how are you?
He
Welcome.
recreated a picture of himself with the
right.
Yes, yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
I need to address something that DC put down a second ago.
Okay, go ahead.
For those of us who have moved almost all of our media to hard drives, his post was, if my external drives die, he says, I'm kind of musically dead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, long story short is that every Monday now, after having a snafu about 15 years ago when I lost about 10 years worth of photographs, all my kids' photos when they were little and all that kind of stuff. So I'm in the same boat, except every Monday now I spend however long it takes and I back up all of my media files in triplicate on 3 remote hard drives that sit in my fire safe. So
yeah, I have 3 different spinning hard drives that
right.
have everything backed up on, and 1 SSD,
right,
and then a couple of little sticks here and there that have like most of the music on it. So yeah, I'm backed up in like and the cloud.
Yeah,
so
everything up every time
I'm covered.
Backing up new stuff.
I back up just new stuff. I keep
Right.
them separate. Anything that's been uploaded, I keep in a download file, and then every Monday,
I do the same.
When I back up all my banking documents and everything, my checkbooks and all that stuff. So I mean, in case there's a fire, I just grab the fire safe and take my whole life with me. Because you can't risk, especially SSDs are more reliable these days. Anything with a spindle in it's going to die. It's eventually going to die. You're going to have that dreaded day you plug in and you're going to hear the and then you're screwed.
Although I do have 2 from about 2005, 2006 that are still going.
You do get lucky. They're like cars. You can't. There's 2 identical cars. You pick the one car, it breaks down every 10 months. You get the other car you haven't had a repair in 10 years.
Right.
Just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Well,
But
just like any tech, the stuff they've been making for the last 10 years is total garbage. You want to get new old stock if you can.
Yeah.
Well, I've got everything. Well, I've got physical copies of everything. So if something goes bad, oh well.
But I like the process of ripping CDs.
It's kind of therapeutic, isn't it?
Yes,
Tom?
And I like getting the metadata right and making sure all of the data is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
Well,
I like doing it. It's fun.
And I even go further. I scan all of the artwork. I found a couple great sites that have really high res versions of the album covers. But I do all the liner notes, and Jesus, at my age, I can't read those things anyways.
Oh, I don't do liner notes. That's pretty cool.
Prince, I do all I have all the artwork, all the inner notes for every CD I've ever done.
Sometimes we listen to the music as well.
What do you think I do while
Only
I'm skating? I listen to the music.
I love that. You're meticulous there, Peter. I'll give you that.
Well,
Holy
anal's the
crap.
word, but again, it's
Well,
you
I
have
wasn't going to use that, but okay.
No, but if you're going to live in a non-physical medium world, which is for the most part where I am, I have to be that diligent because.
Well, I always think it's funny when people say, "Oh, you can't do that. What if you lose everything?" And I just want to say, "Oh, please." Storage is cheap.
Storage is cheap. You're right.
cloud
It is
over
now.
your CD.
I got this.
And it's made it easier because obviously you can get these. You know, you can get a good 4 or 5 terabyte now, and it's not bad at all.
This is an SSD 2 terabyte. Tiny.
Does it have everything on it?
Well, I lost a lot of stuff because I had another hard drive that I had everything on, and it started to freak out a bit. So I got this SSD because I figured it'd be more stable, you know. So I'm just kind of, as I go through my catalog, I just keep adding to it. But
well, and you do need the bigger space, even though you think sometimes you don't, because you know I'm downloading everything in lossless FLAC, so these are huge. These are much bigger files.
Yeah.
But
I do Apple lossless is what I do.
Yeah, it makes a much bigger difference, you know, audio wise when you play it back. But
yeah,
you know, but I do that with my photographs and all my other things that I have along with it. So, but it's my Monday ritual, and sometimes I can tell if I've had a busy week, you know. But I don't, like I said, I don't have a lot of stuff, but I have been getting some things. I did get.
Oh yes.
Oh, nice.
I got my box. These are the SHM versions.
I haven't seen that.
And it's already really hard to find and way expensive already. I think I pre-ordered this the moment the thing even.
Peter, I'm a little bit unsure about that, if that's going to stay that way. Because do you remember the same thing happened with their Rock Legends box set?
Yes.
Everybody was all of a sudden paying 3 times what it was going for. It's out of print. It's not going to come back. There's too much in it to do that. And then all of a sudden it went back into print, no problem.
The Cheap Trick at Whiskey did that.
Yeah. And people had spent $200, and then
I've got the Cheap Trick at the Whiskey, the
stunning
Real Gone
performance is just gorgeous.
How many CDs is it? Like 3 or 4?
That one's 3.
3. I've got
Pre-show.
that. Yeah.
But if you're into Thin Lizzy, this is, you know, especially if you like Live and Dangerous, you know, 8 discs, and it restores some of the things because, you know, look, this reissue things, a lot of times we get screwed. They leave tracks off. You know, they don't give you full performances and that kind of thing. That's why I like to do a lot of bootlegs, because you're assured to get, you know, the full versions. And then if they come out officially like this, great. But
where they just released Dark Side at Wembley vinyl, which is, you know, we've only cut 4 or 5 minutes from the show. You think, yeah, that's 4 or 5 minutes of Pink Floyd in 1974. Thank you very much.
Hey, DC,
isn't it the Encore?
DC, you wait. Hold on. You gentlemen talk. I have to pull something real quick.
Right. I will talk, because I've just seen that a band called the Muffs, and something else before it was called something like Thunder Pussy. Now this is getting into we're talking Muffs and Thunder Pussy. This is going to get flagged, this video. Excuse me while I kiss this guy.
Well, Todd, you'll appreciate this, and then we'll go in, and Grant will jump in, and we've been having side conversations.
Oh yeah.
I got these at a pawn shop, and I will, for the sake of somebody to come and steal, I got these so dirt cheap. It's just called to find out the price. I mean, it was stupid cheap.
Yeah.
And I was like,
there's something exclusive to them, isn't there? Is that a 5.1 disc or something?
There's one DVD
per set, something like that.
Fly By Night. Which is the one in the middle one? And then Signals. All have 5.1s to go along with it. But Grant will jump back on in a minute. I am in negotiation right now who's somebody who is selling all 20 of the Anthem versions.
Oh, okay.
So, it's how many versions do I want, because I even do high res download,
Right.
And, I found this super, super cheap, and I really didn't need another version of Moving Pictures, but I had to have the live
That
show.
live show is so good that you do, yeah.
Yeah, I had to have the live show because there's just no way to avoid that.
That's the best Rush live album, that.
Yeah. And Grant will appreciate this because you were talking on the show, and I ordered this while we were talking on the
that's
show.
Cool. It has 3 albums.
That's the Wounded Bird one?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got all 3. So I did that while we were chatting.
All right. Where was it? Oh, DC said, you remember a band called the Muffs? Okay.
No, but I remember Thunder Pussies.
I haven't been to Magnolia for a long time. This is the same band before they renamed themselves. I don't know if this is before or after. This came out in.
Yeah, Muff does mean the same thing over there, doesn't it? Sure.
It does.
Well,
Yeah,
I know someone, a friend of mine knows the Muffs real well. I'll leave it at that.
Stop it.
But yeah, Money is the same band as the Muffs. I was looking for my Muffs record, but I'm just throwing.
When would you say was the last time you played that?
I've never played it. But here's another Ohio band.
I just got lucky, didn't I?
Michael Stanley Band. You guys know this?
I
It's an
do.
Ohio band.
Big in the Midwest.
All right, Peter, you know my whole story. I told you back in the 90s when people were giving this stuff away. I've got that too. I got it for $0.25.
Yeah, I gave like $0.25 as well.
Yeah.
It's hard to get rid of.
I was buying all this stuff when
Nobody
people were
wants
getting
it.
rid of it.
I
So-
got mine for a nickel. Saw a movie afterwards too. It's a
I don't know
movie.
how much. I don't know how much money was though. Oh, $5. But here's the band. There they
Towards
are
away
on
for the hit and the
left,
miss.
having a good time.
Goof.
Rick Hall, he's the drummer. Yeah, I never saw them back in the day, but they were pretty big. Central Ohio band back in the day. That Thin Lizzy box is getting a lot of press.
Yeah,
DC,
it's all really
Davy's
good.
DC's a big fan of Davy.
Everybody is.
But I always find that I have to keep a small handful of certain media things because they're one-offs
after.
and there's no way to replace them. One of them is this soundboard that I got from seeing Peter Frampton in July of 2011. So that's a soundboard from the show that I was at in Ravinia, north of Chicago. So obviously you don't get rid of that because there's no way to ever replace it.
I mean,
It's
this
nice to have
this money record for being an independent release, it's got nice labels. It's I mean, I don't know. I've never opened it till today.
You'd never know he was a Hoffman Forums guy, yeah? I just look at the things.
Well, that's what we do in the Hoffman forums. We don't play them; we look at them.
I talked about.
That's like being a kid and not opening up your toys.
I know.
That's just not
The
right.
Hoffman Forums is a place for deaf people to just look at nice pictures, I think.
I've got a friend that used to back in the 80s and 90s used to collect box sets, and I remember he had in his bedroom he had like a whole shelf full of box sets. It's like Elvis and all of these really nice box sets, and he didn't open them. And I was like, how do you sleep? How do you sleep in that room without opening them?
Well, I would open them. I don't have anything sealed.
Some people don't. I opened this. We talked about this on bicyclelegs. Is
I got that ordered.
yeah, B52 show.
Daniel's smashing it these days, old bicycle legs. He's putting out some great stuff.
And then I got this. I figured that Davey would like this. This is the U2 fan.
Davy's got
Octung
like 3
Baby
copies
Live.
of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw my post a few weeks ago about the new album, but I specifically said in it, I guarantee you people won't read this part of the comment, but we'll just post below criticizing you two for absolutely no reason and to say they don't like Bono. First 3 comments, I don't like Bono. I don't like you two. Thank you for being terribly predictable. No, it's just like, sorry, I didn't post a picture of Saddam Hussein. See, I love this guy. Love him. What's it? He must have committed war crimes and nobody told me. This is the only thing I can figure out.
Well, maybe.
Trying to think if I have any other goodies to show.
I did get this, the Wipeouters. Do you know what this is?
I don't.
This is Devo playing surf music.
Well, okay.
Dealing with a wipeout part, there was going to be something a bit, surfaddies.
I did get that in my travels. What else? Well, we were talking about Sean Cassidy Wasp. There it is, kids.
So yeah, I figured out why I couldn't find my record of that the other night.
Yeah.
Because it went in a purge.
Oh, so you don't have Wasp.
It isn't very good. So
And then it should be purged, don't you think?
yeah, I do.
It's got the look of an album that knows it isn't very good.
But I can't get rid of it because
Just that picture, it's almost as if it's disappointed in itself.
but I have to have it because it's part of the whole
Tell
Todd
me about it.
Rundgren and
Tell me
Utopia
about it.
thing.
That's the only reason I bought it.
There are clinical titles for that, Grant.
What? Hoarder? Hoarders?
No,
Devo, I bet that's awesome. I haven't played it. I'm gonna play it. I have so much stuff. I only have so much time.
I love this guy.
I only have so much time, but I can't stop.
Have you got something to tell us, Grant?
Huh?
You're still a young man, for goodness sake.
No, I'm not. I'm old.
I've only got a few days left.
I know.
I'm 100 years old, Davey.
I'm going to listen.
You're so much younger than I am. Cesar Romero would not shave his mustache to play the Joker.
That's
true,
awesome. Yes.
That is true.
That.
And Ricardo Montalban wouldn't grow one?
To play the Joker?
That's just made up. I just thought of another
Oh.
Hispanic.
Well, now, with Todd purging so much, I'm really curious of what he got rid of.
I'm not really sure that Sean Cassidy album is considered to be so much, but
Yeah.
there was a stack like this. Maybe,
Well, you don't. Well,
maybe
I will
30,
be honest.
maybe
You
30,
don't
40
see.
albums.
Considering that
I'll
was
give you 100 for the lot, but 99 if you don't want the Sean album.
considering that was at the end of Sean Cassidy's career, and
Well,
no one bought it.
I
not
think
that
he
many of
deserves credit for spending Warner Brothers money in that way.
Yes.
I mean, it's got like two or three covers on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, he
Well,
played a show here last summer in Omaha. I was like, what?
He did.
Yeah, he's touring.
I love it when somebody random just shows up on gig lists and you're like, bloody hell. Like somebody totally random that you'd never have imagined in a million years.
Uh-oh.
Like I don't have 17 CDs that I recently bought that I haven't
See,
listened to.
CDC, you're all right. You'll get to it.
God, I call those Fridays.
I just saw a film not a couple days ago, an old one. Greer Garson, Walter Pigeon, Cesar Romero was in that. He was a circus performer with his circus family. He was in some serious shape. That dude was.
Well, yeah, it was the heartthrob of the 1940s, kind of Hispanic Latino market of Hollywood. Yeah.
Anybody familiar with this?
Henry Gross.
I'm trying to figure out why.
What was his song?
That song Shannon.
Yeah,
He's gone. I've heard.
yeah.
I don't know. I like that
Shannon,
song.
she's gone, or he's gone, or she's
Must
gone.
be
You know what that's about?
They've drifted.
Henry
Carl-
Gross. Oh, he was in. Was he not in? Was he in that band?
Sha-na-na.
Sha-na-na, yes.
Yeah.
I knew the name.
Oh,
of the
I
song.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Shannon is about Carl Wilson's dog who passed away.
Well, I thought he was just misspelling the name of his own band, Shannon and
No. Yeah, well,
Shannon.
it sounds like it.
Shannon.
So anybody else have anything to share with the class? Oh, Peter Jones.
Yes.
you sent me that picture of all those Canadian Anthem Rush CDs.
See, I told you,
Yeah.
Todd, you would
Yeah.
come up here.
It didn't call you a liar, Peter.
Because while you were
know
going to
that
get
whole
your stuff, I was showing these, and I said Todd will have an opinion when we get back because we've been talking off the air.
I've got all those Anthem original Rush CDs. Some there's certain different pressings of different versions.
Yeah, they're
But-
bloody good though, aren't they? Those are good editions. Those.
Well, if you want any, okay, you don't want the remasters.
I'm
Those are
gonna let you.
jacked
I'm gonna
up.
let you finish, and then I'm gonna have a rebuttal to that.
Fine. This is what it's about. The original Anthem CDs. If you go on the Steve Hoffman site, because there's a lot of. All right, Davey, you should say that, but there's a lot of great knowledge there. I don't hang out there anymore, pretty much. I used to hang out there early.
People with dogs here, and that's who lives there.
Right.
All right. Damn it, Davey. But
It's-
those Anthem CDs are considered the ones to have.
I don't know about the Anthem CDs, but I can tell you that the Mercury CDs are not the ones to have.
No, those are bad.
No, those are different than the Anthem ones.
These are the ones to have for the US versions. They
No.
were an improvement.
No.
Is it better for me to have the vinyl or the CDs?
It depends on the album.
I think
It does depend on the album.
I'll go further. It depends on your ears.
I got pretty much
Yeah,
all vinyl
yeah.
up until-
That's a better way of putting it.
Depends on your system as well. That's where
Yes,
it
it depends on you.
Yeah.
While we all know I respect Grant a ton. We
Well,
hear-
I don't know about that. That's
We do, I
going.
do.
You'd be the only one who respects me. I'll
Well, you
just
haven't
give
called me
that.
Peter Kerr yet, so I'm okay.
Not yet, but the night is young.
But I have to say, I've not heard the Anthem versions. I've only heard the Mercury versions. And I hope that the Anthem versions are better because the Mercury versions are not very good.
Oh God, Dave, the pickup
my
artist. The
my
gods.
understanding, my understanding
God.
is, and Grant, you can back me up here. My understanding is that the anthems are far less compressed. They're far
Yeah.
less volume maxed.
Correct.
They are smoother. The
Yeah.
high end
Mhm.
is less brittle,
Mhm.
and they are not mid range peaked. Like
Well put. They were more straight transfers off the tapes, from what I understood.
But here
Well,
I will
that's
tell you. I will
right.
tell you this. I have bought the Genesis albums many times over on CD,
Mhm.
and I had settled on the 2008 remasters as the ones that sounded the best to my ears.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I went on Steve Hoffman forums,
Oh no.
and I took it album by album, and I took their advice on which one to get. Sometimes it was the original US one, sometimes it was the Virgin one, sometimes and so I got one of every single one of them, and I redid all my rips based on what they said on Steve Hoffman forums, and I was not satisfied, and I went back to the remasters because I
Yeah.
thought they were flat. And I thought that there are too many mistakes. There are some that are A/B reversed, and it's just kind of a mess. So
And just in general, I don't think someone should be in charge of a remastering
Thanks, Anthony.
catalog. If someone is like, say, Rush has such a different career with different eras, one person can't be sympathetic to all of that. They should separate it and so you can do more electronic based stuff. That's fine. We'll give you this part of the catalog. You're into progressive stuff. One person shouldn't be given the keys to the kingdom with a band like Rush. It's too much.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and I think you look at some of the Kansas ones. The fact that Glixman was involved with redoing those, it was his stuff. So
Yeah, but
I
a
have
lot of
no-
these guys want to they look at their
Yeah.
old
I
what
know,
they
and they
did
want
back when they were younger, and
wanna
they want to
fix everything.
reinvent it.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget ZZ Top's drum machine attempts. I mean,
Oh,
the artists
wow.
are not always.
Well, yeah, that's an extreme example, but yeah, you have
Yeah,
to.
I mean,
which is why I finally got these.
yeah.
You do have to be a
Those are great, though, Peter.
an informed
These are
consumer.
stunning.
sometimes.
Stunning.
These
That is
are
all you need. No, it's
This-
serious. It
no,
sounds
this
wonderful.
this is the shit.
That's
this
the
It
shit.
is, yeah. Whereas
These
the
sound
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
the 6-pack was the shit.
It was really the shit.
Yeah.
unlistenable.
Unlistenable.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can see what they were going for. Obviously, pretend that they were always like that, and we're not just that little old band from Texas. We think, Oh, that's going to date. And God, was it out for 10 minutes before it sounded dated? I don't think so.
Really,
there's no-
DC? Really, the by the 40th anniversary of the debut? I'm interested to hear.
And Marshall Crenshaw's probably going to want you to buy a Marshall Crenshaw record.
But it depends on the artist, and it depends on the remastering series. You can't generalize.
Well,
Yeah.
and here's
Even
the
with
thing.
like Chicago, some of them are great and some of them are terrible. I mean, they just go like this, and
Well,
the same people did them.
Aren't the new ones supposed to be pretty jacked up though? I
It
don't know.
depends. Some of them are
depends.
great, and some of them are terrible. It depends on the album.
You always have to take the artist's involvement with a pinch of salt. I mean, up at Acoustic Sounds, Chad has got the rights to the Steely Dan catalogue, and they're getting really fancy vinyl editions at the moment on UHQRs with $40 kind of cut down versions, slightly less quality, but still pretty damn deluxe. But Donald Fagen is technically approving every single one of these, but on the interview that they posted, Donald made it quite clear, no, I trust you guys to do it. I don't really, so the actual interview that he gave on air pretty much undercut it. Yes, he approved them doing it, but he's not interested in listening to a single note.
I'm sorry.
There's a couple bands that are starting to really get into the weeds here. Maiden, they did their whole catalog in 98. Now they've got a whole series of 215s remasters. Sabbath, holy crap, they've redone theirs. It seems like every other year. Oh, here's a new box, here's a new remaster, here's a new remaster, here's a new, it's like, okay, we're starting to get a little bit carried away with stuff.
I think they're getting away with
Stop
it by
messing
doing
with
the
those
remix.
tapes.
Yeah, they're doing the remix thing, though, aren't they, to kind of get around it, where so.
Peter, I'm sorry, you were about to
Remastered,
say
remix.
something, and I interrupted you. Do you
No, that's okay.
remember what it was?
I'm trying to remember what it was.
Sorry about that. That's my fault.
You were on
Yeah, okay.
Anthem.
The DC says the bottom end is pumped up, and Marshall says it really suits his vocals and overall mix.
I mean, you do get silly
Oh,
stuff.
I remember what I was going to say. Sorry.
Before you forget, on you go, please.
We look at the skit on Saturday Night Live about Don't Fear the Reaper and the cowbell thing. Sure, it's funny, especially as a drummer. It's very funny. The track, whatever.
Yeah.
But what is so ironic about it is that somebody in that staff was smart enough to look at the liner notes of the reissues and see a name, Bruce Dickinson, who was the house mix guy appointed by Columbia Sony Legacy to redo the Blue Oyster Cult stuff. And to me, the cowbell's too damn loud. And
Yeah, but those weren't remixed.
no, but they're remasters, whatever. It was their whole thing with bonus tracks.
Yeah.
But, they're like, oh, you're Bruce Dickinson. Nobody in that skit outside of a small handful has a freaking clue who Bruce Dickinson is.
Well,
but if you
the
know
same
he's
Bruce
the
Dickinson you're talking about?
yes.
Oh, I would love it so much if it was the exact same Bruce Dickinson who flew planes, led Iron Maiden, and also mixed records.
No.
That would be my jam.
No. Maybe I misunderstood.
I knew that there were two Bruce Dickinsons.
He is the Bruce Dickinson who remixed
I just wanted to clarify.
No, he's not that. No.
Look, see, Michael's going, the Bruce Dickinson?
No.
It's the Bruce Dickinson. He's
Talk
just
of the
not
walk,
that
baby.
Bruce.
I never made the connection that they were talking about the actual guy. I never made that connection at all.
I
just
went
thought it
right
was a
straight to the
joke.
liner notes and remaster supervision by Bruce Dickinson. And you're
So
like,
he's a Sony mastering engineer.
he's a Sony guy. So someone at SNL was so intuitive to be able to actually go to the rec album and the disc
And
itself,
pick the name.
that name off.
Yeah.
So they were so accurate to even use the guy's name who actually supervised bringing the cowbell up in the mix.
See, that's
I don't
why
know how they did that because it wasn't
Michael
remixed.
strips them into that kind of condition. That's what
They'd been out by then.
But that's one of the weirdest remastering campaigns ever, though, because they just stopped. They stopped at Spectres, and they skipped Fire of Unknown Origin. They skipped Mirrors. and
Todd, same thing with Cheap Trick.
Yeah,
they
it's so
stopped
weird.
at All Shook Up.
All shook up. Yeah.
Even though they never did one-on-one, but Next Position Please had a secret remaster when they put it out, like on Apple Music or whatever, you could get
Yeah.
the remaster that way.
See, that's
But they
happening
didn't even do
a lot.
one-on-one. I don't get it at all.
That is happening so often now that, especially Adobe Atmos mix comes out to Apple only and doesn't get a disc at all. And you think it's worrying, man. It's worrying.
But you know, when the Cheap Trick remastering campaign came out, they probably got to that point and they're going, well, CDs aren't selling like that. We're just gonna, you know, not go any further. It could be the same thing with the BOC catalog too.
Well, BOC did eventually do some remastering because they continued to do the complete Columbia catalog for that.
Well,
nice
those are remastered in the box.
The
but
box,
they're not.
yes,
You can't
but
buy
not
them separately.
individually.
Right.
So you're better off getting the box if you can.
You are
get it.
better, and it's cheap as well.
It's cheap too. Yeah.
Well,
And
yeah, but
and you
if
get a
you-
DVD, and it's the proper bonus track versions of all the albums as well. It's not one of those awful sets where they cut all the bonus tracks out. So.
But you know
I've
what's
got-
interesting about those is that I did the opposite. I didn't do the smart thing. I went on Amazon and bought all of the individual BOC CDs.
Yeah,
They're cheap,
right? Yeah.
They're between $4 and
super
$6
cheap.
a piece.
Yeah.
that's what I've got.
And so I just bought them all
Sometimes
at
I would
once.
rather have them individually than in the box too. It's
And-
nicer.
Yeah.
But I do have the import of Cultosaurus erectus, and it was remastered.
Yeah,
I think
Okay.
it was part of that whole thing, but it came out
Probably.
in Europe instead.
yeah.
It sounds really good. I like that record quite a bit.
Yeah, it's a
I
great
don't know.
record.
I've got that UFO box, and
Yeah, me too.
it's nice, but at the same time, I'd rather have all the individual CDs. You know,
Yeah, but
Well,
Oh,
that's-
Is that the
different-
live
that's a-
one?
that's a
You mean
different
the
UFO.
studio
This was-
version?
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
it too. I have it too. And I actually feel like I wasn't very familiar with UFO. I kind of missed
I
UFO.
wasn't either.
So I
Yeah, so
started
did I.
like 2 years ago. And I think having the box is hurting me. I actually
Really?
feel like I'd rather have the individual ones. Yeah, because it's just, I don't go to it.
yeah, and they
I mean,
kind of went half-ass.
There's
I thought on the
something that
artwork.
happens in my head that
The artwork's lame, where they just
when I get a catalog all at once, I
just
can't do it. It seems like it's too big a job.
Oh,
Look at that.
God knows Tom Jones would make an appearance.
This
I love Tom Jones.
was a godsend for me on a whole bunch of levels because you cannot find
Mm-hmm.
any of these.
Oh, they never
Most
came
of these
out.
you can't.
And you know
Most of
what?
these you can't find.
The
And-
US versions of those that came out on Parrot,
Barrett,
they're terrible. They're
Yeah.
not good pressings, and if you find one, they're usually really beat up.
yeah,
and
these are all the
they don't sound
Decca
good.
ones, and this is a gold mine. That's
Is
One of-
how much is that going for, Peter? Is it fairly?
I'm trying to remember. I didn't pay a lot for this. And it was brand new. And there's 3, 6, 9, 12, 16 albums on here.
Yeah.
I mean, they're way less than I think. They're like got to be like $6 a disc. $7 a disc. That is not expensive.
Just help yourself to my discs.
Is that an
Yeah.
import? Or is that out domestically? Because I've never seen it. I'm just curious.
I have my wrong glasses on.
Oh, for God's sakes.
No, but I'm trying to.
Tom Jones needs a big box set like that. Surely that's available worldwide. He's a megastar.
So, like over in Europe, over there,
Great booklet.
Davey, is
and-
Tom Jones still? Davey,
Yeah,
how
Tom
is,
Jones. Tom
is
Jones.
he the man over there still?
Yes, I'm not kidding. I love Tom Jones. If you have not heard Tom Jones' last 4 or 5 records, starting with Praise and Blame in 2010, it's this electric blues album. It is super intense and wonderful.
Well,
Everything after that has been great covers. He's doing Dylan, he's doing Leonard Cohen. It's fantastic stuff. Fantastic.
So there's an example of you just can't. I've always had, and I mentioned on when I've been on with Grant, I got I Who Have Nothing and Tom Sings She's a Lady, which would be 70 and 71 respectively.
Whoa, she's
Those
a lady.
are the first 2 albums I bought with my own money back in 70. Those you've been able to get, but even those have been out of print for forever. There was a 2-on-1 where you could get them both on CD, but that was it. And so if you can find a box, like that you can get a whole career, it's really worth it. And so that one to me was kind of a no-brainer because, the Boyster Cult box is great
mhm.
if you need all of them. if you've got half of them, you know, now
Yeah.
you're like,
It's-
do I?
It's a lot of great stuff, though.
Do I buy the rest of them just to?
Davey says that Tom Jones is the man, and so does Peter. This
yeah.
is just this goes to prove that he is the man.
Yeah, you've always loved that cover.
Look at that. I mean, this pretty much sums it up, I think.
The live banter between the songs is just worth the price of admission
If
alone.
you have never seen, and
I've got that on vinyl.
It may be the greatest video in the history of YouTube. Better than any cats playing keyboards. If you've never seen Tom Jones with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young,
I've seen it.
doing Long Time Gone, it is the best thing. David Crosby's watching Tom Jones singing his own song in awe. You can just see him go, "I did not know this guy could sing like this heavy anthem and fit in perfectly." It's brilliant.
Tom's duet with Little Richard's badass. That's serious shit.
Yeah, well, nobody tops Tom Jones. Nobody. Still to
How
this
does he
day.
compare to
Talking Tom
Engelbert?
Jones now.
Oh, he's so much better than Engelbert. Come on.
I mean, I don't know him very well either. So
Well, I'll show you a box set that I really like. Is this one here,
Let's hear it.
and the reason
What's
why
in
is
that?
because I'm such a geek. First of all, they've only got 6 albums, so that's great. It's not like doesn't cost like $1 billion. But the best thing about it is I'm a label freak. So there's the Doors
yeah.
with the correct label
Yep.
as when it came out. There's Strange Days, same one.
Okay.
Here's Waiting for the Sun. Same one. All right.
Yeah.
Historically correct. Here's Soft Parade. There you go. Red.
Fun, yeah.
There's Morrison Hotel. Red again. And of course, LA Woman, Butterfly.
Cool.
Now, what year was that?
I saw
done?
that and I was just like, now that's how you do a box set.
Where's
Pay
American
attention to those
Prayer
details.
Talk?
Wait a minute. What was Soft Parade? Is it red?
2011 was when the box set came out.
But Soft Parade's red?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've only got the what's it called, Todd? The Doors of Immersion or something?
Oh, yeah. It's, I forget.
It comes with a kind of eye thing that you look through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they've just redone a whole series of 96K, 24 of those for download, or 192 and 96.
Well, one of the ones that's really kicked off at the moment, and it is probably on the Hoffman forums, is the Electric Recording Company put it out as a limited edition 300, and they charge $550 for their It's brand new.
Wow. Well,
And-
these are the
No, thank you.
And it was apparently awful. So
Really?
Oh, it was awful.
yeah, there's flame wars going on between them. You must know Mike at the End Groove from the vinyl.
Mike at the end.
Oh
groove,
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
flame wars between him and Michael from Germany. Everybody's called Michael.
Michael
Fremer,
45.
Michael 45. Michael Fremer. So there's this kind of
Oh my God.
war
There's so
going
many
on.
comments. I'm not paying attention.
Does that box, does that Doors box have the bonus tracks?
It does not.
Oh.
And it is quote the 40th anniversary mixes by the Doors and Bruce Botnick, unquote.
Leo Sayer. Now we're talking.
This is
Well,
the first.
we
one.
should talk about Leo
Vinyl.
Sayer because, God, this is such a great conversation. I love it that we're talking about this stuff. I played some Leo Sayer on the Yacht Rock show yesterday. I mean, he only had like maybe 2 hits over here in the States.
You make me feel like dancing.
Yeah.
Well, that's one. And
And
what was the
Long
other
Tall
one?
Glasses, which I actually
Long
think is
Tall,
one of the
yeah.
most ridiculous songs ever. But
I don't think he gets much.
DC can school me on why I'm wrong about
Well, I
that.
tell you,
Davey, what's your thoughts on Leo Sayer?
I love Leo Sayer's early stuff. A bit like Gilbert Sullivan, he became, or Chris de Burgh became a joke later on, but early stuff, magnificent. I mean, Leo's early songs like "Won't Let the Show Go On" it is a masterpiece of a song. It is phenomenal. It's like the Kinks. Honestly, it sounds like something Ray Davies would write and the Kinks would play. Just that track alone.
I've heard that before. I've heard that before. That
It's kind
stuff
of
is good.
baroque and it's
Yeah.
a bit psych. And, it's wonderful stuff. And he's got an amazing voice.
Carol says John Jones is still absolutely the same voice quality. Guested on The Voice and done solo.
Yeah, he's still great.
I haven't seen him.
He's one of the judges on the UK version of The Voice. So yeah,
Okay.
we get him
Very
every week.
entertaining.
Yeah.
And you
See,
can
I
see
probably-
the respect that they have,
Yeah.
you know. And every time someone brings up something, oh, that's good. And it's like, what do when I hung out with such and such and
Oh,
such
I
and
can know,
such.
it's a running joke. I don't know if you know this, but Elvis Presley once said I was the greatest singer of my generation.
Right.
I don't know if you know
So-
this. Tina Turner once
With
said I was
these
the greatest
hands,
singer of my
with these
generation.
hands.
I don't know if you know this, but John F. Kennedy once said, "Wait a minute, you weren't out then." I know, but still, Kennedy.
So Todd, I think this is directed at you. Is that door
Yes.
set on Rhino? Show us the cover of that so everyone knows.
Yes,
what it is.
it's
They're all
got
right.
the correct
the-
Electra logo and then the Rhino logo. Yeah.
Let's see the front of that because I'm not sure if I. Oh,
What's your
okay?
Yeah.
What's your overall opinions? Rhino's been busy for the last decade or so. Some are kind of hit or miss. Some of them, I'm trying to remember titles, have a tendency to be a little bit too reverbed for me. They've got a little bit too much.
I haven't noticed that, but there are so many that I haven't been able to afford to buy that
Yeah.
I've missed a bunch of them. So
Do you know what I love about Rhino and also disliking about Rhino? The handmade sub label that they had, where
Yeah.
things were made that they would just never have been released by anybody else. It was pure passion projects. But then if you missed them, you were talking hundreds and hundreds to
Yeah.
get some of the editions. But wow, some of the stuff they put out, just world class stuff. Like a bit like Hippo Select, if people collected Hippo Select stuff back in the day.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Rhino stuff. Even though Rhino's not really what Rhino used to be, they're still bringing it. You know.
See, the version of Forever Changes by Love on the box set with CDs is the best vinyl version of Forever Changes.
Uh-oh.
I did get the.
Holy crap, everybody. Brace yourself because Ernesto is in the house.
Ernesto's here.
About damn time, Ernesto.
Hello,
Dude, you know how bad traffic is in California?
Yeah, I was there a month ago.
It's so
Ask
bad.
my wife. I
Bill
think
hasn't cleared up.
I booked the flight back to Ohio. Our flight was
Right.
supposed to leave at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And the boat got back to the dock. I don't know if Carol's still on here. I think we got to the dock like at 7.
Right.
But we had arranged like a what do you want to call it? Like a commuter thing. They were going to take me
Right.
to the airport from the boat. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and we're sitting there going, "Holy crap, we're going to have to do something because they're never going to come." So we had to get a taxi, and he booked it. He booked it to the airport and got us there in time. But if we would have waited on the transportation from, Royal Caribbean, we would have.
Right.
It was stupid, but it was still great. But yeah, Ernesto, it sucks. And what I saw of LA
Great
didn't
place
look
to
much
vacation.
different than Ohio.
Great place to
Yeah. But we got some great record stores, let me tell you that.
Well, I was gonna meet. Well, the Wax tonight talked about meeting up, but I couldn't get it together. We were gonna go
Yeah.
to Amoeba, which I've never been to
Oh.
the Amoeba in LA.
No,
I've been
you
to
don't
the
want to.
Huh?
You don't want to go to Amoeba, man. You know
Why?
why? Because it's a circus, man. It's just crazy. It's people who want to be on YouTube and all that stuff,
It is.
and it's turned. Yeah, it's
People
turned
that want to
into
be
some-
on YouTube.
The
Yeah,
egocentric
they
bastards of
want to
that.
be like video stars or something. They're just like crazy, and TikTok and all that nonsense. And you got to go to like the independent stores, the smaller ones, and you'll get a better vibe. It's like I took a buddy. I told you I took my buddy from Belgium to Amoeba, and he hated it, man. It was just too crazy.
Well, the one in
crazy.
San Francisco is not that crazy.
Probably not, no. But the one in Hollywood is it's a shit show, man. It's just too crazy.
There you heard it, kids.
I've only been to the Amoeba at the location before that
Right.
In LA.
because I lived in LA in the late '90s, and that was the
Yeah. Oh, do you
the
remember
one.
Todd, where it is? The original where it was?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was a nicer one. That was a real calm and really now it's
Yeah.
just crazy, man. Just a bunch of teenagers running around and buying Drake albums.
I used to go to. You may remember this, Ernesto. There used to be a place called Aaron's Records. It was in Hollywood.
Oh my God. I
And
used to
was
hunt that place.
The first place I ever saw a prog section, and it blew my mind.
That was one of the best record stores back then. Really good Aaron records. Oh my God. Wow.
And
You're probably the only guy who remembers that.
One of the best things that I ever about my best Aaron story was I went there and in front of me in line was Sherman Hemsley from the Jeffersons.
Oh, really?
And he had a stack of jazz CDs that was like this high.
Wow.
It must have been 50 CDs that he was buying.
Holy mackerel! Really?
Wow.
So I love that place. That's a great place.
I know, and
the one in San Francisco.
It's gone, isn't it?
It's gone now. It's so sad because it's really in Hollywood. It's downsized. The record stores that are there are maybe like a few, and everybody has broadened their horizons. They've gotten further out, and I've found some great stores now that are mom and pop shops, but they have a lot of stuff, man. A lot of good stuff.
There used to be a good place I used to go in Pasadena, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was really
that was okay. That
at that time
God,
it was
I know
just a
that
CD
one.
store.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying. Was it Calvary, something like that?
It might be. It was in like a house.
Oh no, that's Pooh Bah's.
Yeah.
Pooh Bah record shop. Yeah, that place is still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to tonight's edition of California Dreaming, folks.
All right, I'm done. Those are the only ones I can remember.
There was
Great places.
a lot of times the big box places are not that great, but
I'm not sure what that means.
There was one in Detroit for a long time, a chain called Harmony House. And what was great about that, I spent a couple summers there. They were the only place that I've ever been in any state that had a classical only brick store. It was strictly for classical.
It wasn't just a room. It was a
full. Oh my God, Beethoven was a full aisle.
Yeah,
really.
It was I was there for hours with my Penguin guide and everything, looking through and looking up stuff. And they had this huge wall where all of them were available. You could listen to anything you want. So if you wanted to refresh yourself on a piece or something, and then go and look for something, because obviously classic.
The problem, Peter, with a place like that is they keep all the good stuff in the back.
Yeah.
Well, I do like the Amoeba in San Francisco. I've been there like twice, but I always came out with great stuff. I'll give it.
I don't know. I can see the point. That I can imagine they'd be a bit, almost a bit like Abbey Road, where it would just be full of annoying people that just want to be seen there, because of the those videos that are online for Amoeba. What do you call it? What's in my bag?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Or
Oh, yeah.
What are the voices?
Well,
in
I
my
do
head?
like What's in My Bag. I have to give it that.
Well,
That's a
depends
great
who's on it,
concept. That's a
but
great show.
I don't really need to watch some 20-year-old say. And then I bought the Red album by the Beatles. It's my favorite one. I also like the Blue album by the Beatles, though. Okay.
Well, you're not in that age group, Davy, though. The other 20-year-olds may look at that and go, ooh.
Well, they won't. They want a 10-second version of that set to dancing on TikTok.
Well, I know, you're right, because my kids could give a crap about any of that. They could care less. I thought maybe I raised them better.
No.
Whatever I've done, it didn't make any difference. On that solemn note.
Sunrise, sunset, and the cat's in the cradle.
Carol doesn't want to know what's any in our bags. Yeah.
I don't know.
She shouldn't even listen to this discussion. I'm surprised she's still here. Her ears are probably on fire.
I was going to say something. Is anybody excited about the Led Zeppelin documentary coming out?
No.
No?
I haven't even heard anything about it.
You're kidding. It's called Becoming Led Zeppelin.
No.
Who's doing it?
A big producer. I forgot his name. I can't think of his name, but it's going to be big. It's going to be like the Beatles thing. It's going to be huge.
They've
been talking about it.
Really big.
Yeah, really big.
Really big.
Huge.
Like, Beatles Anthology was huge, but 8 days a week wasn't huge. So what Beatles thing?
Yeah. I don't know. It's
Did
going to be big. I heard.
Did anybody go see 8 Days a Week when it was in the theater?
I did.
And before the 8 days a week, they showed Shea Stadium. Did you anybody you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It was my son and I went and saw it, and he got it. I think he understood totally what I kept talking about with the Beatles. but the footage wasn't it absolutely just beautiful? The
Yeah.
restoration. Holy
Because if nothing else, Ron Howard's a great visualist, so he was never going to put anything. Just like Peter Jackson doing the recent Get Back project, was never
which
going
is
to.
also beautiful.
Yeah, which is also stunning.
Stunning.
And that's using new technology to make the footage even better than it originally was, even on film. Yeah. So whatever Led Zeppelin project it is, I've not heard about it, but if it's going to be that big, I'm sure we will do. Yeah.
Well, I'd be very curious on a couple different levels because I think maybe the mystery person here that may be the biggest contributor is Jason. Jason's got a different vantage point, but he has such a recall of everything that had happened and how his dad reacted. And I can only imagine that he must have an immense archive of all things Zeppelin somewhere. Now, like all children, it was just dad, and he kind of just pushed the Zeppelin thing away for a while. But he seems to be the one that's kind of the most tied into it. And they said when they were doing the O2 thing that John Paul Jones was like instinctively at a certain song, they would go to do an ad lib or an improv, and Jason was right there. And Jason goes, yeah, that's from this show, from that tour. It's from this show on that tour. And you're like, okay.
Well, I'm reading about it now. It's actually been completed a couple of years ago, and it was shown at the Venice Film Festival with a 10-minute standing ovation. And it traces the formation and early years of Led Zeppelin. Features full performances, never before seen footage of the band's early US and British concerts, and unseen material from the personal archive. So I think you're right on that one. Variety said it premiered to bursts of rapturous applause across its 137-minute runtime. Rolling Stone described it as revelatory, and the Hollywood Reporter described it as an eye-opening delight.
Well, unlike the Beatles, Zeppelin has such a small, to most casual person, the only kind of real visual element they would have is Song Remains the Same. If they're not purchasing box sets or anything, they haven't seen really anything else.
Well,
maybe some black and white footage.
Self-titled DVD is Song Remains the Same is awful. I hate Song.
Yeah, it's probably one of their worst tours.
It's the most self-indulgent pap ever.
Very self-indulgent.
But the 2 DVD set, just the Led Zeppelin with the kind of desert stuff.
Yes,
that's a brilliant set. The 2 DVD.
In Royal Albert Hall, I could watch all day.
Yeah.
It just
says it's about the early years, but it's not as if they're a band that had a 40-year kind of career that they could
Right.
So I don't know where they're kind of drawing the line, because if you're just covering the early years, you can still cram in 4 albums to say it's the early years.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see. But hey, Rolling Stone liked it, so it must be rotten. Yeah, Jan Wenner likes Led Zeppelin, shocker. Eh?
Well, they didn't like Led Zeppelin early on. They gave all those records piss poor reviews.
Then they started selling covers for him, and he soon changed his mind.
Yeah, take that all with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know what Rolling Stone thought of Money.
They should have stuck with the Muffs, I think, was the review.
Michael Stanley Band.
Big in the Midwest.
They weren't big in Scotland?
No, massive in Japan, though.
Yeah. There you go.
Tubes, like a baby's arm holding an apple.
I don't know. Well, Ernesto, where's your head? Because you're cutting your head off.
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to log in on my laptop, but you didn't send me the link, so I couldn't get on. I'm using my phone right now.
I keep posting the link over and over again.
I know.
If anybody else wants to come
streaming along the bottom there.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to cut and copy and paste. It's us old guys, man.
Oh, for God's sake. So, Ernesto, did you get any new 8-tracks since you're here?
No, but you know what I did get? Let me show you. Hold on.
Let's see it. It's like show and tell day today.
Plus, I got a lot of shit to talk about.
Oh, we'll talk.
I almost bought an 8-track a couple days ago.
Really? What happened?
I don't have a track player, so I'm like not committed to it.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
you can-
Byron, you could get one that
I
wasn't
know.
working and you could fix it.
I haven't found one yet.
Here's the mentality. Way back in the day, Iron Maiden's Live After Death came out.
Okay.
Right.
And it was the first long form concert put on video.
Yeah.
Well, the only one I could find was on beta. I
Right.
had VHS at home, but my sister had a beta machine.
I had
I'm
a
like,
beta. High
I
five.
had
I'm
a beta.
So I'd buy it and then I'd call my sister. Hey, what are you doing? And nothing. I'd go over and I'd watch Iron Maiden on her TV. The only place I could play it. And I'm like, what are you doing?
In
You know
very,
that beta is probably worth a lot of money now.
yeah,
Oh.
in very slightly higher quality.
Yeah.
I threw mine away 10 years ago. Finally, I said,
Yeah.
You
Throw it away.
don't think it's winning the format war
Yeah.
in about 2010.
I was throwing stuff away 10, 15 years ago. Now
That one's probably gone 25
Now he's buying
30 years
shit
ago.
back.
Yeah, exactly.
I've
Oh,
still
you
got
guys-
I've still got my laser discs.
Just so I can be one of the cool kids, I'll move and you can see my
Laser
my
disc
vintage-
collection.
my vintage stuff behind me. Since
Oh,
Ernesto
okay.
and Byron have vintage stuff, I figured I'd.
Why do I not remember that?
That's a Thomas Edison original.
Was that sitting there when I was at your house?
No, I had it put
Oh,
away. I
my.
didn't have it out.
Yeah, you had to put it
Oh,
away
Todd, look
in
at
case of-
you.
in case of sticky fingers from Mr. Arthur?
Those are
I know, I
my
like it.
Infinity 5000
I was going to
monitors
ask you what those were.
from the mid 70s.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Still
Well,
have those.
what is that behind you,
Ernesto's
Todd?
got the ultimate stereos.
I got right there.
Is
I got
that
my
a Jane-
1250
is-
right there.
Is that a
See it?
Pioneer 1250?
That's a 1250.
Holy shit.
Very nice.
Mine is an
Jesus.
SX580, which I think is what is behind Byron as well. Is that
Seven,
right?
Yeah.
It's a 780 there.
Well, didn't you
Okay.
have
Yeah.
didn't you have that 580 out in the living room, Todd?
I did. And then there's the, I have a realistic down the bottom.
I used to have the 1980, but I
Yeah.
kind of made a deal with this other collector. He wanted it so bad, so I kind of traded him for some other stuff, some other gear. But I regret that because the 1980s worth like $3,000, $4,000.
Yeah.
Or more.
That realistic I have on the bottom is a STA52.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
that is the best sounding 12 watts I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
You would think that it
Well,
wouldn't push
look
anything,
at that. You've heard
but
about a lot of the
man,
Marantz gear.
those 12 watts go a long way,
Well, a lot of the Marantz gear, you get like the low wattage ones,
and they sound
Yeah.
great.
like the 15, and
Yeah.
people rave about how they sound because they're not, it's all about they're not pushing a lot.
Mhm.
I
You
have,
have you have efficient speakers with those.
Yes.
I mean, it's more than enough power. More than enough power.
I have a Concept 4.5 receiver.
Oh, nice.
Concepts were handmade
Yeah.
by guys at Harman before they went off to Harman.
Yeah.
And
I thought
they were-
concepts were sold through that
They were
Pacific
sold at
Stereo.
Pacific Stereo. Yeah.
Pacific
But
Yeah.
Stereo.
I've never
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
one in real life. I've only seen pictures
I've
of
never
them on the
seen one
internet.
either.
It's mine set aside because I need all the pots cleaned and everything because it's super noisy. But that 45 watts can shake the house.
Mhm.
It's, not all wattage is the same, folks.
Right.
Well, back
And-
then when they were rating stuff, it was kind of sketchy. They probably were very conservative on their
Very
ratings.
conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then this one behind me, you can't see it, it's too dark. That's the Pioneer A757, which is the non-elite version of the M90 and the M91. That one's 100 watts, but signal to noise on that one is 120, and total harmonic on that is 0.0001. The heat sinks in the monoblocks. It's a monoblock construction, weighs about 65 pounds. So
Byron's
I need
probably
those,
getting all worked up when you're talking
those
monoblock.
infinities.
I've heard of
Those
that.
infinities are power hungry. They are
Yeah.
not efficient. You gotta
Yeah.
just juice the crap out of them.
If you
Then
want
they
to see
explode.
you want to see a beautiful setup, go to follow my friend or check him out, Moran's History on Instagram. Oh my
Oh,
God,
I've seen that
setup.
guy. I need to follow him.
Follow him. His setup is amazing. I mean, the guy spends a lot of money on gear.
Yeah.
It's just mind blowing, his stuff. He's a really nice guy. He came down to California, visited me and stuff, and we went looking for some gear for him and stuff.
At the Belgian
And he just loves Marantz.
Oh, I love
I mean-
Marantz
Oh
too.
yeah, I do too.
It's
Yeah.
great
I
stuff,
got
man.
a-
Good stuff.
A 1090 integrated amp. I've
Right.
got a Marantz tuner.
Right.
I had a Marantz amp back in the day that was just a stereo amp with the blue meters. It was just an
Right.
amp. And I shouldn't have sold it because now those are
Oh,
so outrageously high.
I sold
Right.
two NEC M50s. Those are monoblock.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, what a freaking idiot.
Yeah.
You know,
But
they're
you know,
1,000
gentlemen, you
they're
go through
$1,000 a
life.
pair now.
There's so much stuff that we wish we hadn't sold, you know. But
Go
in
through a
different
lot.
time periods, a lot of this stuff wasn't worth as much as it is now. Now that Marantz gear and all that 70s gear is
Yep.
now just. I've got a 79 Yamaha. Is it a 1080? It's an 80-watt integrated amp that I bought from some guy on.
You're hoarding this stuff, man. Come on.
I got a whole bunch. I got some stuff. Well, I use it all the time. It's my main amp that I bought off a guy on Craigslist.
You got that Sansui. You got. The
I got a
Goodwill.
Sansui amp that I bought at Goodwill for $15.
Jeez.
And you got that turntable. That's a great turntable. Let me
Well,
tell you that.
That's an SA 1100 from like 1971, 72.
Wow.
Let me give you the story about that turntable.
If I can just throw it real quick before we go in, because all these things we're talking about, the thing they all have in common is they've got tremendous phono sections.
Right.
All of
Back
them
then
are
they
just-
did, yeah.
They're just exceptional for LP. Sorry to interrupt.
All right. So that turntable that you've seen all in my shorts and all that stuff, I bought that off of eBay back in the day. It had the box, it had the original cover on top because those 1110As, the cover would come off. Okay.
Mhm.
I bought that. God knows how much, $250 back in the day. Those now are going for Ernesto. How much are those going for?
What's yours?
Yeah.
Probably 200 and up.
Oh, it's more than 200. More like
Probably.
20 grand. Your stories went downhill there.
more like
depends.
5 or
It-
7.
Calling
No, it
somebody
depends on
else.
the condition. It's
I
all
made a
about condition.
$50 loss, I'm afraid.
Well, it's in great shape. Okay, so
Yeah.
I got it, and it arrived at my house damaged. The plastic cover got cracked.
Yeah.
Right.
It's down to 175 now, Grant.
Well, I put in a claim through the postal service.
Right.
They paid for the whole thing. They thought the whole thing was damaged.
Mm.
So I got the turntable for free. And then I just went online and said, "Hey, do you have any?" I don't know. There was a guy who was selling,
Dust
turntable
covers.
dust covers.
Right.
And I said, "Do you have one for a?" Why is there 2 of you, Ernesto?
That's me because I'm finally logged on to my laptop. Sorry.
Look at this. This may break the internet.
Sorry.
Look
He's
at
his twin brother.
Sorry.
Just to
Let
know
me
what he's
log
it. Can I
about.
kick you from the studio?
Hey, Dave, can I borrow the bottle, please?
Oh, I don't know how to get rid of you.
Hey, call Pedro.
Hold on.
Hold
You
on.
drink some of that, son.
Hmm.
I have 2 guns.
I'll just remove
one
you.
for
Okay,
each.
there you go.
There.
Anyway, so I
One
got
for
the
each of you.
insurance money back from it. So it was a free turntable. And then I ended up going to somebody else and said, "Hey, do you have any dust covers for 1100A?" He said, "Oh, yeah, I do. I'll let you have it for whatever." So I
Cool.
bought one original dust cover for it and restored it back the way it
Some
was.
of the people who are making the new dust covers for those, some of those are really beautiful. There are some people that are doing some really good work on that.
They are, but it wasn't frosted, not frosted, but the original ones kind of had that
Like
patina.
like
that,
sunglasses, yeah.
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 So I got one, but I'll never get rid of that
Tell you
turntable.
what,
Well-
though, it's amazing to this day the amount of people that get rid of something on eBay as used for parts only, and you think that just needs a belt replaced. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that whatsoever.
Right.
And
Right.
they just don't know how to open it up and change a single belt. Which fair enough. I mean, it is a
Smoke.
little
There you go.
bit
Yeah.
finicky, but God,
Well,
people
I
have
could-
thrown away thousands.
Yeah. I can remember buying, when would this have been? About 2006. I remember I went into a Goodwill and they had a Technics SLD2, which is not as nice as Grant's, but it's a decent direct drive turntable. I got it for $3. They actually wrote $3 on top of the dust cover in like a grease pencil. That I think that was the bottom. I think 2006 was the bottom.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. That was
weird.
Ernesto, what are you doing?
I'm trying to fix my mic.
Okay. So did you buy that, Todd?
I did.
Or no?
I did. I used it for
That would
about
be
10
rude
years.
not to,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you that Goodwill here in Delaware, Ohio, though, you can find some audio gear if you keep up with it. Like that Sansui that dropped out.
You got to go like every 2-3 days. And
Yeah, you got to go.
You'll miss it.
Yeah.
Make a routine of it, right?
But the Sansui, I think someone got rid of it and a 5-disc Sony changer. I bought them both, and I think I spent $10. But I've got to have backup CD players because you never know when it's going to go out.
Oh yeah, when it's the laser,
I've got like 6 CD players.
Yeah,
They're like
yeah, but if you go to the
There's
Goodwill,
2 in here, and there's 4 more in the closet.
Yeah.
Well, hey, when I was at Todd's house in November, I saw all the shit that he has in his garage. He is waiting for the apocalypse or something, because if something happens, he'll just go,
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
You don't even realize how it adds up sometimes, do you? When it gets to like, you've also got a DVD player that can play. And your Blu-ray player will do it, and your kid's PlayStation will do it too, and blah 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 blah.
But if you go to Goodwill and it's just like $5, why not buy it?
Yeah,
it's decent.
Do you know, sometimes if I see something like that for £5, we don't call them Goodwill; they're called charity shops here. But but that or a car boot sale, guess you call them garage sales, those kind of things. I'll pick them up just for a chance to tinker about. You know, not even with the goal of perhaps fixing it. Sometimes to just make mistakes, knowing that I've not lost anything. You know, and then if
Byron gets stuff,
any noise out is a victory.
Well, Davey, you familiar with Byron's always fixing stuff and then posting stuff that he's fixed.
I picked up during the pandemic. It was one of my kind of hobbies, was just fixing things, and I've never really been techie before. And I thought, what better time? And I'd never been a good woodsmith. Is that even a word?
That's how you
woodworker.
I've never been a good tin woodsman.
Woodsman.
So
an axe man.
Woodsman.
I decided to learn how to build shelving, and then I built myself an actual cupboard, and that all worked very well. So all we need is a pandemic every few years, and we can pick up these kind of skills.
That's right.
Well, I'm just curious, Byron, how long have you been working on audio gear? Because you're constantly doing a lot of work.
That's what I went to college for, but I ended up being a software engineer.
It's so fun, isn't it, when you take it off and see what the actual problem is, and you think,
look at the big brain on Byron.
Well,
it's so
after
fun.
I retired, that's when I started doing this. So it's been about 2 years I started messing around with electronics again. But I threw away equipment 15, 20 years ago because it was like, my Pioneer turntable. Well, I'm getting rid of my records, and this thing's all screwed up. I got a backup. I threw it away, and I threw away a Luxman integrated amp 10 years ago because I bought another surround sound receiver. What was I thinking? What the hell was I thinking?
So that Sony 4K player is basically a DV Blu-ray player, right?
Yeah, 4K player is a Blu-ray player. Yeah, with 4K capability.
Yeah,
I didn't even know they were even making that anymore.
I always
I
buy.
thought Sony got out of that business.
No,
You see a Sony Blu-ray
backwards compatible. That's a good thing.
Buy Sony Blu-rays because they play SACDs.
Yes.
My Sony CD player is a DVD, but that's a SACD player.
I've got an SAD CD Sony player that, well, it's not hooked up right now, but I've got one.
Well, and what I've always had in my system that I don't have right now that I'm missing is I've always had a outboard recorder. So I've been going back and forth. I've pretty much had one on and off for the last 15 years. And you're talking about for parts and things, Davey. I've been using the Pioneer PDR 509s and the 609s, which allows me to burn and rip anything from any source as long as I get it into the system on a music only disc, not a CDR.
Yeah.
But they break so frequently, and the ones that are all on eBay for parts is a bad laser transport, so those are worthless.
Yeah.
So I think the worst for that was probably the mini disc players.
Yeah. I
Those-
loved mini discs, but I had
So
a
did
Sony
I.
that I took into the shop like 3 times.
Yeah.
Byron, what's the name of that guy, Byron?
Which
That
guy?
guy that fixed the guy that power washes the receivers. What's that guy?
Oh
that
yeah,
character?
yeah.
Aiden, AH Fix It.
That guy, he takes apart the transports and he works on them, and then he shows you how much of a big hassle it is. But he shows you everything. He breaks it down, and he'll show you all the hassle. I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, he's a young guy.
Sometimes though,
How can you power wash electronics?
I
don't get
believe
it.
me, this guy's crazy.
Power wash it and then
Don't
expect his
do it,
oven to
plug
dry
in.
it out. I wouldn't recommend that. You
Yeah.
can do
No, I wouldn't recommend it either.
that.
just make sure the power's not on. That's number one in your product.
You gotta see it. You gotta see it
But
to
the
believe it.
pressure
It's
could
crazy.
damage components and knock things loose, and
Yeah.
you don't want to get water inside the layers of the transformers. Just layers of metal that are
Right.
like attached together.
Well, wouldn't it?
Water gets in
Well,
there.
it's
and-
copper.
Yeah,
Whoa.
when it's a chipboard, it's just gonna fry it in places.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That must,
It's
Byron. That
interesting.
just must make you cringe when you see that.
Hey, it worked when he did it, and it still works. So
And
Yeah,
then
well,
you put
it
in the
is
oven.
only by doing that, by picking stuff up from boot sales and the like, that you do realize how many it really is just the one thing that's wrong. It's not a disaster
Right.
at all.
Right,
It is
right.
a band that you need. That's all you need. £3 off of eBay, and you're sorted. You know?
So, Byron, I have a question. Like Yamaha equipment, the old stuff, the '70s stuff. Have you ever worked on anything like that, like amps or any?
earlier I showed I've got a Yamaha M60 power amp here. I got
Power
that.
amp, yeah.
I got that at the Goodwill for $20. It's like $300 at least if you were to sell it on eBay.
Mhm.
And then some guy was selling some shit on Facebook a month or two ago. It's just all this crap. $80 he wanted for it. And I was looking, and I saw in the stack he had a Yamaha C60 preamp.
Mhm.
Mm.
That's all I wanted. And I was like, well, I'll give you like $20 for it. He's like, oh, okay. Well, then I get over there. He had dropped it at one point. It's got all these issues, but I got it working. But I mean, it doesn't have I got to find a volume knob,
Mm.
the
And that's the hard
balance.
part.
Well,
the
I
balance
heard.
control is just destroyed. So I can't get the pot or it's got a special thumbs thing, but I just shorted, I bypassed the balance pot. So you can't adjust the balance, but it works. Nobody
Well,
changes.
time-
Nobody plays with their balance.
Time is the killer in so many ways. One, the longer things go, the less parts become available. The longer time goes, the less repair guys have any knowledge of the things that you would bring to them anyways. So back in the day, someone would have knowledge of this specific amp or that kind of thing and know how to be true to what that manufacturer's design was. Now, I'm trying to find people to take things even just to get channels cleaned out and stuff. And you take them in and they charge you some fee and you come back and you turn the knobs and they're crackly as hell. And like, what did you do?
Get
Yeah,
yourself
but
some
cleaning the
jacks.
pots are
For
easy
that.
though.
Yeah, you need.
Well,
jobs.
I've got one channel that's out, it's cutting in and out. I don't know.
Byron,
You can do that
Byron
yourself.
Byron can take care of that.
But
for
you could do that yourself, really. That's pretty simple. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't
I'll
spend,
tell
if
you-
you don't spend the money, that's the whole thing.
there are guys on Audio Karma. They know how to. There's a Yamaha guru there. There's some Pioneer gurus. They can tell you. And this guy was telling me, well, yeah, you could probably fix that Yamaha, but he goes, what you need is the parts, and you're not going to be able to find the parts because he says, well, I got 4 parts units for this, but all the parts you're needing, I've already given to other people because everybody would drop these things, and it would be this, or they'd ship them, and they'd get damaged in shipping, and that volume balance pot would get destroyed. And he's like, you've either got a parts unit or you need to find a parts unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought
You got $10
my,
into this thing, so whatever. It works.
I
It's
bought
a
my
great plan.
Pioneer from a guy on. I bought it on eBay, but it was a guy who's got a YouTube channel called the Happy Handicap Tech, and he was in a car accident, and so
I
this
saw one of his videos.
what he did is he learned how to fix stuff, and there's a YouTube video of him fixing that, and then I bid on it. So I felt pretty good about doing that.
Yeah.
I felt like it wasn't going to need a lot when I got it. But he everything is replaced. Every capacitor is replaced.
For reasonably common parts, a game changer in recent years has been 3D printers. There's so many people on eBay that print like common parts on demand.
Yeah.
I could use one of those because I need some parts that you can't buy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if it's really niche, but if it's a standard Sony part or something from the 80s, they'll be able to get it, no problem. It's such a game changer.
They even 3D print houses now.
Yeah,
crazy.
There were some manufacturers that used plastic parts. Like there's in JVC turntables, which are really nice turntables. They use plastic gears for certain things like the Q lever and stuff. And those are always broken. Yeah. And whenever you find one of those, and that's the only way to fix them.
Well, the running joke is that when we were selling the Pioneer stuff, you'd have an M90 that's, 250 watts per channel. It's stable down to a half ohm. Thing weighs 100 pounds, and they can't make a little flip door that doesn't break off its hinge.
It doesn't break off, right.
And you're like, what?
Well, my Techniques is all metal, baby. That thing weighs about 30 pounds when you pick it up.
Machista was kind of like General Motors back in the day. They had Techniques and some other brands on there. All of their stuff was reliable.
Yeah.
It kind of indestructible. I had a Techniques receiver that I had all through college that
I've never seen one of those SA series from the 70s, like SA 300, 400, 500. Right. Yeah. I've never seen one broken.
No,
they're good.
They always work.
They're very
you have to go out your way to damage some good stuff like that. Yeah.
Well, right now I'm using for my CD player. I picked it up at Goodwill for $5. I bought a Techniques 5-disc player, and that's my main player right now because I compared it to my Onkyo. Yeah, I compared it to my Onkyo. I compared it to my Sony that I have, and the Techniques. I like the sound of it better.
I use Bang & Olufsen for my CD player. Do you get those over there?
Yeah. But I haven't seen one of those forever.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I had a PD65 Elite. That's the upside down transport.
An Elite, nice.
Oh, wow.
Well, if you worked for Pioneer, it was easy at the time.
Well, yeah, but those things are built like tanks.
That's the Japanese line of the Pioneer stuff, and that stuff is super high end. And this one here is just a non-elite version. All it does is take away the rosewood panels and the Urishi finish. But the internals, those are the exact same heat sinks and honeycomb, all copper wiring and everything that's in the M90s. Right. That one's just got a lot more power than this one does. But, but then that one started to mistrack, and I was having a hard trying to find somebody to fix that. And it was a mess.
Peter,
but I love that stable technique, the upside down platter. And it looks nice too. I mean, I loved having that for a while.
Do you know what's heartbreaking in the kind of vinyl revival era that's going on at the moment, though? When you see somebody who's getting back into records and they've got lovely records and they've got a great collection, they say, "I'll just put it on, like, here a bit," and then you look at their player and you go, "Oh my god." Oh my God. It's some piece of, it was never good, or it's a new one that's made from Chinese crap, where the counterweight is just plastic to make it look like an actual counterweight and stuff.
Well, the weird thing about that is you wonder what they're telling themselves to make them think that that's better than their CDs. Yeah, that's the thing I can't figure out.
I can only imagine some of those people are watching.
Have you ever A/B'd that with your CD player?
Yeah, those people I think must be watching, say, the vinyl community tape videos and just convincing themselves, well, it must be better. It's a record player, and not really recognizing that as a record.
Well, do you remember all of the fun selling techniques as they were starting to come out? I mean, at first it was 4 times oversampling, then it was 8 times oversampling. You're like, ooh, what does that mean? We don't know.
It's just like the records themselves, isn't it? Half-speed masters, where half the guys in the industry will say that is not the way you want your music to be made at all. Half-speed masters are a complete gimmick, and they're actually bad for the records. So everything's just marketing nonsense. At the end of the day, it's really, you don't listen to the companies. You listen to the purchasers and
certain concepts made sense because we had the laser discs, and of course you were either CAV or CLV, constant linear or constant angular, and the only difference was whether it was a half rotation per frame or a full rotation per frame. Well, obviously, if you can do a full rotation, you're going to get a better image.
I've still got my Laserdisc player, and one of the funny things I always think about Laserdiscs is that we all heard the stories a million times that your CDs are never going to last and they're all going to rot and fade.
They're all going to get rot. Yeah.
It never happened with CDs, but it absolutely did with Laserdiscs.
Oh my God, yes,
I have so many Laserdiscs that I've tried again, and you can look at them
instantly recognized when it happens.
They've turned gold, and oh, it's horrible to see, and it's heartbreaking. A lot of special features were never ported over to DVDs and things, and
well, if the Laserdisc wasn't because they glued two halves together.
Well, it was
is that what caused the issue?
The big thing about Laserdisc is people think it's a digital format, but it wasn't. It was analog.
It was analog.
Yeah, even though it looked like a CD, people just assumed it must be digital, but it wasn't. So, it really was more comparable to older tech than anything else. I mean, Laserdisc is much older than people think. That started in the early 80s in Japan. As usual, Japan's
because the video was analog, but the audio was digital.
Yes,
correct.
I had a friend whose father had a Laserdisc player when I was in high school, and that would have been 1981.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I had a Pioneer Laserdisc player, man. I was so into that. The girlfriend that I had at the time, we were okay. You guys remember Camelot music back in the day? You remember how they used to have a lot of cutouts?
Yeah.
They used to have a lot of Laserdisc cutouts. Like John Lennon, How I Won the War. I bought all kinds of stuff for cheap.
That's a great movie.
But God, I miss Camelot music because that was, CD cutouts. Remember their CD cutouts area was gigantic. Oh my God, those were the days.
What I don't miss about Laserdisc though is when I'm watching a movie having to get up 3 times to flip discs over.
And if you got the CA version, you had to do it twice as many times because there was twice as many discs.
Yeah,
because there's only 30 minutes per side as opposed to 60.
And if it was your fancy ones like Terminator 2 was quite a famous one, or Jurassic Park, where that was the first time you had not just a commentary, but loads of special features. Mm-hmm. So it'd be 10 visits. It would be like, an 85-year-old man in the middle of the night going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Constantly back and forth to your player, just trying to watch a dinosaur movie.
Well, and then we did, because I was at the shop in 88, 89, and 90. So that was kind of the second wave. Because the first version of Laserdisc flopped, and then it came back around, and obviously we did okay. We had an entire store dedicated to it, but then all of a sudden titles are coming out and everything is, and I think we even had the one that played the other side. That was at the end of that technology. It could, we didn't have to flip a CLV disc, so you could watch the whole movie without having to turn the disc over. Which is just one more mechanical thing to break.
My friend's player was first wave, and so it was MCA Disco Vision.
I remember that.
I remember we watched Saturday Night Fever, and it was on 5 sides.
Oh my!
You had to flip it over 4 times.
I remember there was a place in Marion that you could go and rent video discs, and we would rent them. Like you could get the Who, The Kids Are All Right, Woodstock, all those, and I'd go over to my friend's house because they had a video disc player, and that was all analog. You'd get somewhere in the track it could skip, but I used to hook up my Beta machine to their video disc player and record
and make copies,
and we used to play those copies forever. It was like a big deal, because I always thought that the video disc didn't look bad,
Yeah,
before I started working at the laser place, I had a Super VHS machine.
Oh yeah, those are.
So I would go rent a Laserdisc player, bring home some movies for the weekend, copy them
to Super VHS.
Super VHS, and I would watch those.
But those look great.
Good.
A lot. Was it a hi-fi too? A lot of people use those hi-fis.
I had a JVC, real high end.
I mean, they sound great.
Or
use those as a tape deck.
What was the format? What
You
was the
just load
format
them up.
that was before Laserdisc, and you put the whole
Video disc.
CED,
Is that the one where you put the
RCA.
whole, you put the whole
CED.
cartridge in, and then it
Mhm.
takes the disc out? Yeah, is that the one?
It's the RCA CED.
It had a stylus on there would read it.
Needle.
Video
Good read.
disc.
Right.
I don't know if that was what it was called here. Maybe that's why it doesn't ring a bell.
And the video quality was great, except
Yeah.
for they'd wear out. They'd wear out for like 6-7 plays,
And they
then
would
it
skip.
Then they'd skip.
So it's like the flexi discs of Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Yeah, RCA basically went bankrupt over that job. I think they spent a lot of money and it did nothing.
Yeah.
And then VHS format instantly killed Laserdisc. So
Yeah, and Sony had HD technology in the early 80s, the ability for it at least.
Was
And
it VHS that killed Laserdisc? Seriously?
No, VHS just never got taken over by Laserdisc.
I mean,
Never.
I always looked at those as two separate.
It was two separate things. It was
Yeah.
aimed at a niche market, and Laserdisc was massively successful in Japan.
Oh,
and
I love Laserdisc.
massively successful. Over here, you could get Laserdiscs no problem in every shop you went to. But DVD was just, it came out and it was so much more affordable, and so many people hadn't made the switch from VHS to Laserdisc that it was easier for them to just jump a whole generation of tech. So
Well,
yes, there's always that kind of one standard that people jump to. We might like our niche ones, but there's that one standard that the general public likes. So they didn't like their 8-track, but they liked their cassette, say, for example, or reversing.
Music
Well-
Sanctuary. I'm sure your JVC 6 head VCR sounded great. It probably still would sound great. You hook that up through a system.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sure it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean,
used
yeah,
to
video
record
file.
CDs.
Yeah, exactly. Cinephiles, videophiles, people that cared what.
That's what all our
filmmakers-
clients were. Those who, and we do home theater installations for them with that Pioneer Elite stuff.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I know we just
No.
take it for granted that you can get all this stuff for pennies, if that, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what's
mu-
funny is
bigger
that people
format.
collect VHS. People are still collecting VHS movies and
8-tracks.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And cassettes.
and
People are writing books about them buying it.
And
What's
reel
with
to
these
reels.
people?
and reel to reel.
What kind of time machine are they living in?
I don't know,
You
man.
know, I know. I appreciate it when it's people like you guys that do it because you like the tech. It reminds you of an era and it's a time and place. What I don't understand is the people that seem to convince themselves it's actually better. I don't
Right.
get that at all.
I gave $25 for that reel to reel recently, and it was like, just screw around with it. You know,
Yeah,
it's entertainment. You know,
Yeah.
and
You know, but a lot
don't
of
do
it's
much of it.
nostalgia too. I mean, these are not better than anything, but
No.
No.
but I like to look at them as much as I like to play them.
Yeah, I remember your
There's just
video of
something. There's
Ryan
just
on the
something fun
Yeah.
about the way they look. And
Hey, and you could still get a
having 'em.
Walkman.
Well,
Listen.
But those are pre-recorded. I feel the same way about that, Todd, but I like the ones that
I like blanks even more.
the blanks even
Yeah.
more.
I know you
Yeah.
boys want to shoot your blanks. Yeah, no, here we go.
The first time I learned to be able to take one apart
Oh yeah.
and move the dampening pad
Yes.
over to a pre-recorded one that sounded like crap, and all of a sudden,
Oh, was those SA90s? A classic.
Yeah.
And that particular version of SA90 is a good version to have.
we go.
And Ernesto, you
Well,
you
they
must-
changed the formula as SA90s proceeded through history. They improved it.
Ernesto,
you know?
you must, as an 8-track person, if you are trying to play them, you must have had to replace a lot of pads over the years where they've just turned into mush.
That's how I learned. Little by little, I started
Yeah.
taking them apart and messing with them and playing with them.
Yeah,
Because-
those are notorious. Those
And this was before YouTube. This was
Yeah.
before YouTube.
Oh,
I had
yeah.
to do it on my own. But the only reason I learned is because my dad used to be a film projector person. He used to
Hey.
show movies,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and he used to show me how to splice them and everything.
Oh,
That's how I
brilliant.
learned.
That's magic. That is
Yeah.
film to me. That is film. Two bits of celluloid getting spliced together is
Yeah.
pornography to me. That is
That's how I fell in love with cinema and stuff and movies and all that because of
Yeah.
my father. You know, he was all into that. And he would show movies at an old theater and stuff, and kind of got into that. And music and all that has some kind of combination. Whether we like it or not. But there's
Buddy of
there's a
mine
connection.
works for the Library of Con. Oh shit! Hold on.
The library of all shit.
Anyway, no, the interview's starting. I'm doing both.
Oh yeah.
That's how I do it. I run dual programming.
Grant is now so prolific after his first year, folks. that
Well,
his
the
own
audio was
video,
on it, just scared the shit out of
and
me.
he's got his own video going on top of it. That's
A
okay.
buddy of mine works for the Library of Congress, and he does restoration, film restoration. So
Right.
when they do that, they have to go frame by frame
Yeah,
Right.
and restore these vintage films.
yeah.
And he's worked on, I don't know, God knows, some probably films you probably would recognize. But, they have to preserve them. And a lot of these films that are on nitrate,
Right.
it's very fragile. And they've had films that just
it's
engulf into
phenomenal.
flames.
Yeah.
And they're-
Literally, there's a Blu-ray company named after the problem, Vinegar Syndrome. I mean, that is what it's called when it just turns into vinegar, when film just disintegrates into vinegar. And, we've lost a lot of great silent movies because of that.
Oh yeah.
Right up through the 30s, right up through the 80s in video as well. A lot of stuff was wiped. So.
That huge fire at the
Universal.
at Universal is just it's gut wrenching.
But do we really know?
We
what was
don't know.
lost?
We don't know. And Universal don't know what was actually lost.
They don't know what's in there.
Yeah, because we were told the Steely Dan stuff was lost, and
No,
now,
you know what? Somebody
as
printed
mentioned,
out a list of all the
as
music
mentioned, they
that was
found
lost.
them.
Somebody
Well,
did that, and it was a lot.
mm.
So I don't know if the list was complete, but there was a lot of good artists that lost.
Yeah,
all
I
their
mean,
people.
you do hear it from artists sometimes in interviews. Like, mine was some of the stuff that get caught
Yeah.
up in the fire.
Yeah,
and
I think some of the Tom Petty stuff was lost, but I
Yeah.
don't know. How do we know?
Heart, they lost all their music.
Hearts was all gone, right?
They didn't have an archivist whose job it was to just say this is what we have.
Right.
So all
Look.
that epic stuff was lost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, most artists were too busy fighting just to see if they could even get their own rights, let alone who was going to store it.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. By 2008, though, you'd think they would have an idea of, wait a minute, we've reissued this catalog 2 or 3 times. This might be something we can do ad infinitum. We should probably make sure this is safe. And,
Right.
No.
Well, because then what you see happens, and I know Queen for a fact has done this in combination with Hollywood Records. As they've gone through each of those and cleaned them, they all get burned to permanent hard drives. So
Right.
they're there for.
Yeah, I mean, it'll always be digital thereafter, but that's fine. I mean, we're not going to turn into, if it's not analog, it's not worth it, you know what. But
No.
it's better than not having that quality at all. Which
Well, those audiophile purists that only want vinyl, they're not going to be happy when they do
Right.
those Heart reissues
well, we've
on vinyl. They're going to be really upset.
we had the discussion, Grant, when you were on my channel. It was just the time that the MoFi Gate scandal happened, about the lies about this is all cut from the analog first.
Original masters, yeah.
And then it turned out, what was it, 7 or 8 years, Grant, that they'd actually been using a step down digital process.
Yeah.
Like that. So if you can't even believe some of these big companies, I mean, Mobile Fidelity are the criterion of audio for a long time. But
But you know what I thought?
Me,
of that?
I don't care if it sounds good. It sounds
that's it, exactly.
This is how I see it. You know what? Don't get on the plane with that master.
Mhm.
Figure out a way to do it so that you don't have to get on the plane with the master and buy a seat for it and sit it next to you, and
Yeah.
don't drop it, don't spill anything on it, just leave it in the vault.
You can't tell
And-
me you play that master tape on a properly calibrated analog, playback machine that was probably the same one that they used when they recorded it.
Mhm.
And you do a digital, high-res digital copy.
Yeah.
You are not going to lose. I don't care. It's going to piss off all these vinyl people, but it's going to do a direct copy, hiss and all.
Yeah.
You're not going to
Yeah.
detect anything.
Yeah.
Well, that was proven by MoFi Gate, because all these
Right.
people who had been saying this is the only way to listen to it, folks, this perfectly analog version, and then they all had to make videos going, I'm so disappointed in MoFi. And you think, what about all the videos that you've recommended the MoFi based on? All those shootout videos that people do, comparing the OG press to the new MoFi.
When did they start doing that?
2015 or so, 2014.
Okay. Because like I said, when I was at the store, you could tell the big change is how many titles were coming out and how fast they were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the
Wow.
day, it was like one a month
Yes.
at the most, one title. They're like, oh, what's new? Nope, nothing this month. Maybe next month you'd get something. It was like they were punching them out like Pez dispensers.
And Peter, that's how they get caught, really, wasn't it? Is quantity, because they said they were going to do 40,000 of Thriller. And instantly people said, well, you can't do that many from one stamper. So what the hell's going on here?
Right.
So, yeah, and that all blew up. And that's the kind of thing that can kill a company's reputation forever, really.
What do you think Mobile Fidelity from this has killed them?
No, I think what they have done, though, is allowed people like Chad at Acoustic Sounds to really, because he was always so open about his sources, to really take over a lot of that market and say, look, here's every step of the process. He always puts a picture of the actual tapes as they arrive. Everything is preserved, so you can see this is what was delivered to us by the artist or the studio, whichever it may be. Whereas MoFi gave you nothing of this sort. You just had to take it from the little bar across the top of the record that it was actually analog. But no, Chad makes sure that he gets the tapes pictured, and he's working.
Well, during the same time, Columbia was doing. I remember when Toto 4 came out in Boston. Came out in the long box, the white
long box. Yeah.
Oh, the Master Sound series?
They sound stunning.
Well, the one, Yes Fragile, sounds really good like that.
Toto 4 was amazing. I used to have it.
I had it, I sold it.
Yeah, me too.
And now try to buy one.
It kind of sparked a let's the hot thing now is like now the hot thing is remaster / remixed,
right?
Is master tape, original master tape. Well, that definition is also a moving target, because very few artists have things mass produced from the 2-inch. Yeah, that's what it was recorded on. You're not burning anything from that 2-inch because you'll kill it.
Right. And another extreme example, Peter, but I mean the Beatles, for example, if you're using the Abbey Road cuts, then they're not on a Capitol version. Then they're not from the originals, then, are you? Because they should be cut from the Capitol version if you want to reproduce them. But the last time they put the Capitol version, they used the Abbey Road / Apple remasters, which isn't the way it should be done. I much prefer the UK catalogue, but they were different versions and they should be preserved as such.
Correct.
Well,
if you're doing the Beatles, though, you want to get those Purple Label, the 80s Capitals, or the Purple Label, or the ones with the later rainbows.
Yeah, and the mid-70s ones are pretty good as well.
And
I like the orange ones. Yeah,
the orange ones are all right, but the purple ones, that's where the money is.
Yeah,
and then the lesser companies. Yeah, I'm sorry, David. The lesser companies. Perfect example to me was Chrysalis. They're not used. They didn't redo the master tapes for the larger expanded frequency range of a CD. So a lot of these were burned from an LP mix. Hence their little warning. This is an analog recording. It may contain hiss. Yeah, shit. Go and listen to the beginning of Aqualung. There's hiss, all right. You might
you're talking about the VT Chrysalis version, that first CD that you remember Ice Magazine? They had that area CD Watchdog.
Yes.
People were on fire. People were so upset about that first Jethro Tull Aqualung CD. They went back and fixed it.
You might as well have given a writing credit to the hiss because it was just
as prominent
as any musician. It was hideous.
I've got that version. It doesn't bother me.
That was part of the character or something, the old tram.
It's okay.
It's awful.
It sounds very analog-y. I'll give you that.
Hissing on a park bench.
Oh, it was when the piano's down there.
But the thing is, they cut off 30 seconds of the last track when they did the transfer. That was what pissed people off. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
Grant,
at
and you
the end
guys,
of the day, don't we just love that kind of stuff though? Because then now we can geek out about it. You know, we can, just
would you
I do miss Ice magazine because
yeah,
well, of course now everything's online, but you remember back in the day
yeah,
because
yeah. You often phones.
I was like CD crazy, okay, and I used to look forward to picking up Ice at the newsstand so I would know oh my god, what's going on, what's coming out, and then you'd look at that CD watchdog area and you'd go, well, we don't want to pick that one up. That CD sucks. I miss that. I don't know. It seems like now in the modern age, it's like, yeah, everything's out there, but it's hard to find any information to some degree. Back when you had Ice, you could go in there and you could always find out what was coming out, what was good, what was bad. I do miss that quite a bit, but whatever. It is what it is.
I suppose that's pop culture in general, isn't it?
Yep.
Where it's like the Netflix example where I can't remember the name of the syndrome, but if the human mind has more than 10 choices to make, then it won't make its mind up. But if it has 10 only, it'll make it mind up much faster. That's why people sit on Netflix for an hour just trying to find something on Netflix because they're always convinced the next thing will be better. I guess we all do that to some extent now that we've got the internet has opened up the world. We can go onto Discogs and find 350 pressings of some obscure album and find out that the Bolivian 3rd edition with the wrong label is actually the best version.
Well, it's like when I was a kid, when I first started playing guitar, when I was 13, I was Beatle crazy, Paul McCartney crazy. I went by a guitar store in Marion and they had a Rickenbacker bass in the window. And that's my favorite. I thought it was like God's gift. I saw it. I went, oh my God. I had to go in and look at it because I was such a big Paul McCartney guy. But back in the day, if you wanted like a guitar, let's say, I don't know, throw anything out there, you could never, or a Rickenbacker, you would never see him out in the wild because it was just such one of those things. You just never would see one. But nowadays, you want one, just go on the internet. There are plenty of them out there. But back in the day, you couldn't just get one. You had to either know somebody or you had to have a dealer or it was just no way to get one or any guitar or anything.
It is fine to be nostalgic about the kind of romance of that. And, it's like Charlie Bucket finding the ticket to the chocolate factory, isn't it? Whereas now, it's not the same if everybody's invited to the chocolate factory. But at the same time, I'd rather bring everybody along. I'm glad we've got the choice, but you're right. Sometimes that makes it more difficult to kind of narrow things down and curate, when you can have 10 people that what's the best version of this, and they'll give you 10 different answers now,
Yeah, and it really depends where you're coming from, because to use your guitar analogy, Grant, I remember back in the day.
You know what I mean.
Well, but here is how it's different for me as a drummer. When I was interested in getting another cymbal, I would take my Saturday, I would drive down to Chicago and go to Drums Limited, and I would go in and I would bring my other cymbal with me, and they'd be like, okay, Peter, what is it you want? I said, I want another crash. I could look on the wall and there'd be spindles about yay long, stacked full of cymbals, all of just a different size. And there's really only two brands. You got Zildjian or you got Peisty. That was really it. There were no other companies.
Don't you get Peisty with me?
I know. They could line up 30 or 40 crashes and I could play them all and go, nope. Okay, this one's good. And then I go, oh my God, that's the one. And I would take it home and be like, woohoo. You can't do that now. Shops don't have them. They don't have the inventory. And you say, well, I can go online. I'm not buying a cymbal without hearing it first. Are you out of your bloody mind? And it'll never happen. So while it is good for a lot of things, for me as a seasoned player, it's actually hurt me because it makes my ability to find what I'm looking for, which is obviously much more niche 50 years into drumming versus 5 years into drumming when you're like, okay, whatever's kind of there is okay.
Yeah.
So that's changed things a lot because that is such a subjective. I want to know how it feels. How does it sustain? I can't hear the overtones. How does it match with this cymbal? Does it clash? This and that and the other thing. So, a guitar is a guitar. So if you like a Rick 4001, if you can find a 4001 in this place, you can get it and it'll be your Rick and it'll be great.
Right.
But for me, it has worked the exact opposite because now there's entry level. Like I said, so it's harder for me. But
then you can I guess you can narrow it down to strings and pedals and so
right.
Everything's got these kind of quirks, I suppose. But you're right. Drums are just that bit more niche, whereas guitar stores are never going to have that problem because, bless them, kids will always gravitate towards being the next Bob Dylan before they'll navigate towards the next John Bonham first. Just is what it is. You can become a singer-songwriter with that. You can't really do that with a drum kit, unfortunately.
Ernesto, you've been trying to say something for the last half hour. Your
we
mic is
just
so
keep.
low.
And you're also sitting in the dark.
We can't hear you.
I'm trying to say shit and I can't even get it.
No, we can't. We can't hear you.
You look like you're in witness protection.
Yeah. What did you do? If we hear a siren,
I usually bring the sirens.
It's usually Davy with the siren.
Well, I want to say something because here's the thing. This is going to be my Barbara Walters moment.
Oh God.
When it comes down to this whole show and everything, here's the thing with Grant. It's like, what from all this that you did, from everything you've done, and all the time and hours you put into your show, what have you learned from this?
I wish I had another hobby.
What have I learned from this?
Yeah, I mean, what did you learn from all this, putting us all together? I mean, because I'm curious. I mean, I'm
building a community and doing.
Let me tell you guys a quick.
Okay, I can tell you.
Let me tell you. Wait, hold on. Let me tell you a quick story. How me and Grant started talking. We were talking. I don't know. I forgot how we started talking, but I was watching somebody's show.
Byron was there at the same time. It was both.
Yeah, I think so.
At the same time.
You guys were doing a show and stuff, and everybody's there. And I remember listening to Grant and then him talking about his show and stuff. And I was like, okay. I go, this guy sounds interesting. I mean, I think I'm going to check out his show. And I started watching you and Todd and you guys doing your show and stuff. And I was like, I got intrigued, I was like, here's something that's interesting, and you guys were totally doing something that nobody else was doing. It was totally different.
What was that? What were we
I don't know,
doing?
it was something. You guys had the camaraderie. You guys were getting along. You guys were talking, but there was no bickering. There was no fighting. There was no.
I love Todd. Todd. I love Todd.
And you know what else, Ernesto? It wasn't about Kiss. And it wasn't about Deep Purple, and it wasn't about Led Zeppelin. It wasn't about Rush. Right. Even though we love all those people.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't about that.
From the first time I met Grant, his thing was.
For goodness sakes.
I know it's turning into a tribute show, isn't it?
Well, now I'm getting kind of embarrassed, but okay, go ahead.
You should be. I've seen some of your videos.
There's not one video that I'm embarrassed about. I'll give you that.
Well, I don't know. There's a few I've been on. I've been embarrassed. The first time I met you, your exact words have been the same ever since.
Okay, what was that? What were my exact words?
Your exact words were, "Get the fuck off my shit." No, it was who else is talking about this stuff was your exact phrase. Right. Yeah. And you've said it a billion times since then, and not in a patronizing way, but that is your kind of thing. Who else is making these kind of videos? Who the hell else was doing an ABC series on YouTube? Todd had waited 35 years to talk about that last ABC record.
Right.
And he's been holding it together the whole time, and
and now he's achieved the level of zen because you gave him the outlet for that.
Right.
And that's exactly what
Todd's at peace with himself now.
Finally, yeah, you can see he's even got a zen beard going on.
Zen beard.
That is what you've brought. It's not.
Anyway, go ahead. Give me more accolades. Go ahead.
Can I chime in at this point or not?
Well, what was your question, Ernesto? I'll give you an answer.
I'm just saying, from all the shows and from everybody here, which I appreciate everybody. I respect everybody. Peter, Bolt, Davy, of course. Davy's the man.
Well,
he's two birds in one stone.
Well, yeah.
Davy.
Thank you.
Todd, you are with you guys are just great, and it's just fascinating that we can talk about this stuff and we can actually sit around and talk between each other, because who wants to sit around and just listen to one guy talk about the same boring thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with the panel, it feels different. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about you, Davey. You got your own.
Okay. I put in enough jokes to make it seem like two of me.
No. But I'm not trying to, you got your.
What
own
are you
thing.
trying to say? Is my show's better than Davy's? Go
No,
ahead,
no,
Ernesto.
no.
Let me know what that is.
Davy's in his own world and his own style, because he's got two things he's doing, and he's morphing them together, which is great.
Right.
Music and movies. That's perfect. Nobody does that. But with Grant, it's like we were talking about bands that nobody talks about, and bringing up shit that we haven't heard about in a long time, and it's great to hear all this stuff because it brings back memories when we were kids and teenagers and God knows what else, and look at all the people we've met and all the great, panelists and everybody is knowledgeable in their own way. Everybody's smart in their own way. Nobody here is better than anybody else. And that's the great thing.
We're all in it together. It's a team effort.
Todd is kind of above the, let's be honest.
No.
Well, I do look at Todd above. He's up.
You're absolutely right, Ernesto.
Well,
Grant, that's one of your gifts. Is you've been open to people coming on who are just commenters. Instead of treating them as such, you've said, "Come on, just jump on. Here's the link." No,
I did.
We'll do it in the future at some point. Just there and then. Come on here. Just jump on.
I thought maybe the good doctor would jump in, but he hasn't.
Right.
Come on, I'm going to give him the.
But I mean, it just feels good to talk to people, everybody, and we just get along so great. I mean, we joke around and stuff, but you have to. You can't take yourself too serious. You got to be able to.
Well, I don't take it seriously. I just want to thank, and everyone knows this. This would not have happened had it not been for the Contrarians. Right. Todd and I joined the Contrarians at the same time. And this is totally, I mean, we were there, Todd, when Marco and Martin opened up for chats, right?
Yeah.
That's when we started right when they were opening chats.
I used to try to figure out how on earth am I going to get on Sea of Tranquility? How on earth am I going to do it?
I used to think that too.
Then I discovered the Contrarians, and then they made that announcement, and I was like, pay to play, I'm in.
Baby, I'm on.
Right. Here's my $10.
So I was scared to death, of course, when I went on, because the first panel I think Todd and I were on, it was like 8 or 9 people, and Martin was on there.
Martin was on it.
What was the first one, Todd?
That was the album that you'll defend until your dying breath. And
I got on there, and I thought, oh my God, what have I done?
Being shocked that Martin was there, and then being shocked again that he was listening to me.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is really something special.
I thought the same thing, but I was petrified. I went and gave my spiel, and I went real zippy and trying to keep it moving. I'm not even sure what I said. I don't even want to watch that episode again.
This is going to sound so passionate, so awful. But the first time I met Martin, just to deflate it, because he was almost waiting for it's a pleasure kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I said, Martin, it's a pleasure for you to have me on the show.
Well, of course.
And that kind of just took the attention. But
well, I joined the Contrarians a little. I'm sorry, Dave.
No, it's all right. We're all good. It's all good.
People, will say, "Oh, see tranquility." Or Contrarians. There's no difference. It is all people with a passion. And believe me, I'm on all 3 of them. So Contrarians, this channel, my channel.
All right, Davy's gloating. He's made it on all of them.
No, right, but Peter's channel, bicyclelegs' channel, it is all coming from the exact same place. Exactly the same place. It is people sitting in front of their records, talking about stuff they love. Right. We all come from exactly the same background.
Well, the thing is with the Contrarians, that was... Well, of course, I like Sea of Tranquility, but then Martin was on Contrarians, and I love Martin's work. Mm-hmm. And it was just an opportunity to go on. And I really virtually, Todd and I have had this discussion. We had no one to talk music with. And it was driving me nuts because my buddy, the people that I used to talk music with aren't around.
Yeah, that's not what it was like with me. I don't see those people anymore.
And there's maybe more.
Once a year. Yeah.
And all I really wanted to do was talk music with people. And the Contrarians opened that up where I could meet people, where we're all on the same playing field, where we could talk. And it was really liberating. It made me feel whole. the only reason I started my own channel was because I throw out topics, and I had so many topics to talk about. There was no way I could talk about those on Contrarians. So I figure, you know what? I might as well do it. And that's the only reason I've done it. But I can't stop now. I'm like addicted.
Well, I joined the Contrarians after, and I was in the same boat. I'm kind of isolated up here in North Dakota. All my music friends and everybody are all back in Chicago and things like that. And we would talk, and it wasn't until I was talking with Ryan, and he's like, "Hey, we're doing this Aerosmith thing," and sure as heck, I join in, and and it's different if you're in a 30-minute show with 6 guests. It's totally different than 2.5 hours with 3 or 4 people, because now you're starting to really get to know people's character and their personalities.
Right.
And
lack of therefore.
When there was nobody was pointing fingers, or my 2 favorite lines of Grant's are always, "Oh, you're on crack." That's his first one.
Oh, was that during Guns N' Roses or what?
Well, we were in the Aerosmith one. You did that one quite a bit. And we're going to break the internet.
That's probably not good. But
we're going to break the internet. And we're going to break the internet.
I always think of nobody else is talking about this stuff.
That's right.
And then your actual catchphrase though is, "I'm just saying."
I'm just saying. I do that too much. I'm going to change that.
Yeah,
but
do we
go ahead, Peter.
We could spend, and I'm hoping he feels the same way. As somebody who doesn't have his own show, that relies on the grace and the invitation of other people to include you into what they're doing, I feel that Grant and I, we could have a conversation about any number of topics.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't necessarily even just have to be music. We could just talk. And I feel that way about Dave and Todd and Byron and Ernesto. I haven't talked to you as much, but I certainly get the same sense that would be the same thing.
Right.
And that's where it starts. The topic kind of tends to be the glue that binds everything together, but it's the respect, it's the appreciation, and even though in a format like this, there's going to be some talking over each other because it's a kind of a myopic, way that 2 people can't really kind of talk at the same time because it doesn't translate well. But there's always that kindness and the support and the interaction. And I do admire so much the expansive range of so many people's different experiences, different likes, dislikes, their histories. But there's always something, and I know, and I'm going to embarrass the guy, Grant is able to find that commonality and allow that to be the fabric of the show. That's the commonality that makes that particular show work.
The lowest common denominator, in other words.
Yeah, there's something there that connects us, even if we disagree with the record, even if we disagree with the rankings. There's still some thread of commonality that you can lifeline and hold on to and go, okay, I don't feel like I'm just out on an island on my own about to get bashed.
Oh, well, yeah.
And that's not a place to feel comfortable. And,
so this channel's not about bashing anyone. Everybody knows what I'm about. It's all about just talking music. I don't care if you like Captain Tennille or you like, I don't know. I think it's all great. It's all music. Brings us all together.
I
consider you guys all brothers. So it's just like a big, even though not all of our brothers are here.
Right.
But we're a community, It's great to talk to you guys about music, whatever your opinions are. And I take everyone's opinion and I don't ever, throw that out. I always go ahead, Ernesto.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
No. I take everybody's opinion, and it's just about talking music. It's just all about the music. That's all that matters.
Yep, it's the music, stupid.
And relationships, because you guys are all great. Of course,
Byron
we've been
said-
doing this for a couple
Let,
years.
let Byron talk.
Let Byron talk.
He's gonna light himself on fire in a minute.
Oh God, here we go.
I was watching, Sea of Tranquility for quite a long time, and then COVID hit, and so I was watching even more. And then I saw you guys, this Contrarians thing came up because I knew who Martin was, and so I started watching that. This was back when they first started. All they were doing was, it was him and Marco talking about albums that were Contrarian or albums they loved or hated. And then I saw you guys started popping up in these open discussions, and I remember it might have been like maybe the second or third time Todd was on there, and I don't remember the exact episode, but everybody was naming these albums. There was like, I don't even know any of these bands or albums that they're naming off, but then Todd was rattling off all these albums like, yeah, I know that. And
Todd's like an encyclopedia. You get him going, he can't stop. He'll name albums just to name albums.
And I think it was mostly prog stuff. Maybe you know which episode it was off the top of your head. I can't think of which one it was.
I can't think of what that would have been. Relatively early, I guess.
It was early, but then it was around the same time, and Grant was on there too, and might have been a different episode, the same episode, and he was like, "Buy low."
Buy low.
Oh, that was so.
Which strikes a chord with me because
God, I'm an influencer.
I used to spend all my money on CDs and albums, and then I got married in the late '90s.
Oh, no.
My life really changed. I'm not saying for the better or the worse, and I basically tried to do other things with my life, and I pretty much stopped buying for a long time. And I've only started that again, but all I'm doing is rebuilding my collection again because I purged so much stuff, but I don't believe in paying $30-$40 for a piece of vinyl.
You don't have to.
And I don't. I just buy stuff that's really cheap that I find, at the Goodwill or the yard sales, or I buy my friends that are like, they're downsizing, their kids are all grown up, and they're like, you want to buy my albums or CDs? Great. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So Grant said on Contrarians, yeah, I got a new channel. And I was like, he's just starting out. Let me give this a shot. He's the buy low guy.
I'm the buy low guy. Yeah, yeah.
I checked out what videos you had. You didn't have many at that point, but you guys were doing your Matthew Sweet series. And I was like, wow, this guy lives in Omaha, and I've never really listened to him.
Nick, why don't you come on?
So I started watching the Matthew Sweet videos, and then I started finding Matthew Sweet CDs at garage sales.
Yeah,
for $1. Yeah.
And the weird thing is they were always there, but you just look past them all that time.
Yeah,
Right.
Exactly.
And
But
how
he
often
lives
does that
in my
happen?
town too. And I'm like, I should give him a shot, But so then I just started watching, started commenting, and then sooner or later he had an open chat and said, come on. So I was like, all right, I'll come on. The rest is history. So
And I think Ernesto was on that chat too.
and this was about the same time as me.
Oh yeah, you guys were like right the same.
It was about the same time. But I wanted to say that I had a couple of advantages, and they were pretty significant advantages when I was growing up. I worked at a record store, and that's a big deal because working at a record store, you got to take inventory.
Yeah.
So not only do you listen to records and sell records, but you got to inventory the Dylan records. So you learn all of them. You learn all the ones there were, and that was back in the early '80s when everything was still in print.
You
gotta count
from your
you got to count the Conway Twitty albums, and so you learn a whole bunch of stuff that you're not even necessarily interested in, and then later in life when you decide you're interested in those artists, you can go back on that and you can think, oh, I remember that album. And then I worked at 90.5, the radio station at the University of Georgia, and that was really a big deal because that was all about play something until it hits the top 40 and then it's gone. It was pick the most obscure things and play them. And it was very strictly formatted. There were A's and there were B's and there were C's and there were recurrents. And the C section was just really obscure stuff. And so that's how I learned a lot of this stuff. Without those two experiences, there would be so much I wouldn't know.
Yeah. No, I can definitely say the same about a record store, because when I worked at a record store for 3-4 years, gosh, the amount of albums that I thought then, oh, this isn't for me. And then, you know, I was in my early 20s to mid 20s at that point, and then here I am. Bless me, I'm nearly 40, for goodness sake.
You're that old, Davy? Good God.
Yeah, 1985.
I'm gonna have to get some more young. I got to get younger blood on this.
I know, but I don't look it. That's I moisturize. The great thing about it is it does stick in the back of your mind, because you see the albums that bloody often. They might as well all be Herb Alper, you know? At that point, you just remember things. So you're right. When I got into Porcupine Tree, I knew everything about Porcupine Tree already from a theoretical point of view. It's like doing your driving test, but just doing the theory, and then actually doing the driving test with the car itself, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then there's information that Peter has from his experience in his store too. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just think about all the stuff that you saw and all the stuff you learned about that you maybe.
And then here we are all together today.
Yeah, and then everybody's got a different perspective.
Yeah,
but as Mr. Jones rightly said, a commonality weaves through it. So although we're coming at it from a different point of view, we'll meet in the center at some point. So yeah, it's quite fast.
Well, and for me, for a second, it can be easy to be intimidated and overwhelmed, because I've admitted openly that I am no way close to the smartest guy in the room, and it is unbelievably refreshing and inspiring and motivating to talk and listen to people who I know whose breadth of knowledge and experience is expansively further than mine. It is much more broad, way more comprehensive. Now, it helps as you get older. You get very comfortable with who you are. This is the lane you live in. These are the things you're good at. And if you're honest with yourself, those are kind of the lanes you stick in for the most part. But I love being on shows with smart people. And you're all smart people. And you have great thoughts and you have great knowledge. And I love, and it's the oldest saying with a musician is always play with musicians who are better than you.
Well, it makes you play better.
That's how you improve. Yeah. If you're the best player in your band, it's a downward slope. It's a true statement. That's true. It's a downward slope, because you'll pick them up to your level for a while until it gets heavy, dragging the extra weight because they're not motivated the way you are, and it starts to become a drag. Always try and play with better people, because this is the exact same thing. You're all smarter than I am. You're all more knowledgeable.
I'm not sure about
than
that.
I am.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you do yourself a disservice, Peter, because
if you play in a band and you're the best player in the band, you'll go down to the level of the people you play with. But if you're playing in a band with guys that are better than you, you will step it up.
But even ignoring that and just talking about your musical knowledge, Peter, that series you have with Tyler on Iron Maiden, for example, that could be transcribed in a book, could be made.
Yeah.
That's a definitive Iron Maiden oral biography. So don't put yourself in any way, shape, or form.
But Maiden's in my lane, so that's kind of my point.
Yeah, but we've all got these lanes, and we can all step outside them. But it takes a smart person to admit when they're not smart, and anybody who thinks they know it all doesn't know anything. So we've all got stuff to discover. You know, I saw Mr. Ferraro, who was in the chat earlier. He's a massive prog fan, obviously. Lovely guy, but he's just got into Marillion. And everybody in the granny would assume that Anthony would adore Marillion and know everything about it. Doesn't. So everybody has got not just blind spots, but sometimes glaring blind spots. And instead of us saying, oh God, he doesn't even know that, it's more a case of, God, I'm jealous. I wish I could discover that all over again, you know?
Right.
You know, to be able to listen with fresh ears to some of that stuff, to see great movies for the first time all over again. You will never have that, you know. It's almost like we can take stuff for granted, Mickey.
When I started watching Sea of Tranquility probably 4 years ago, I wasn't familiar with Deep Purple. I wasn't familiar with Iron Maiden. I wasn't familiar with Blue Oyster Cult. And it was just watching Martin and Pete talk about it that I was just like, you know, I think it's time that I did that, and it's just been a great experience.
Well, thanks, DMG. Passionate, entertaining, and informed. The panel makes this channel great.
I think that sums it up right there.
That does sum it up. That kind of makes my heart all gushy and stuff.
And you know, one of the differences, Grant, one of the major differences that separates from a Sea of Tranquility,
what is it?
Contrarians, from any channel you
God, please tell me what's different.
Is your baseball cap? It's lovely. No,
it is lovely.
It is these long discussion videos where there's no topic, guys. We're just going to shoot the shit. What other channel does?
We haven't done this for a while.
But you did it since you did it at the very start. You know, the Friday night hangouts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nobody else. Everybody else would have the topic, guys. Let's try and keep it 10 hour. You know.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, no.
And then we'll talk afterwards. You know, that kind of thing. Whereas you would just basically film the after show as well. You know, the geek talk, and throw it in there at the end. And if people didn't like it, then they can just stop when the topic's over. That's fine. But hey, we're going to geek out. You can join in. And I think that's what people probably latch onto as much as some of the topics is the openness and the different avenues that you open up after. And those shows where it was just literally like hanging out in a music store. You know.
Yeah, I miss that. Holy crap.
Yeah,
I used to do that oh my God. Those were the best days.
Mm-hmm.
And just hang out in the music store and just shoot the shit.
Yeah.
Till they throw you out.
Well, I can still do that here in Delaware, but I mean, back in the day when I was a kid, you know, there was a guitar store in Marion called Eagle Guitar that I would literally, my buddies and I would go up there and just spend hours. And, you know, you saw all kinds of different people, all kinds of different players, and it's all about just sitting there and exchanging ideas and just talking.
Yeah.
And this is kind of what this is. This is like hanging out at the guitar store with people with like-minded opinions and different opinions. And
who here plays guitar?
But as many chords as Cuphead, so technically,
I'm just using guitar store as it could be a record store. But
I play the washboard.
Hey, listen, let's start skiffle bands because that's a perfectly legit outlet for me. I love skiffle, so yeah, washboard all the way.
Grant, here we go. The 3 C's. You have the 3 C's. You know what the 3 C's are?
Who has the 3 C's?
You do. 3 C's are.
Golly, Ernesto, for God's sakes, my head's going to explode.
I'm just worried what one of these C's is going to be.
Let me tell you what 3 C's are.
What's this? Some hosts have extremely short topic extent. Some hosts can talk.
I'm going to tell you the 3 C's. Are you ready? The 3 C's are for Grant. Community, which is everybody here. Content, and creativity. That's what you have. All that put together, what makes your show.
It's been,
it's a lot of work, but I don't find it.
You mentioned creativity. Those are the best thumbnails on YouTube. Those are there are tech channels that have 8 million subscribers, but your thumbnails are the very best.
Yeah, I can crank those out in 10 minutes.
Right.
They look good though, man. They do.
That is true because what you are able to do with them is have a sense of depth to them. They don't just look like everything's flat. You know, everything pops.
And every time I see one, I think that's the perfect image for this.
Yes. Yeah.
I wasn't happy with the wall one, but it was all right. Sometimes I can't do it.
I did question why they were both old men, but you know.
Well, I was kind of rushed to get that one done. I did that.
And he doesn't pay for his subs. He doesn't pay for his subs.
No, I don't.
Who would do that?
Nobody should do that.
Well, we have
There's rumors going around. There's rumors.
Not me. Yeah. I'm doing about 20 to 30 subs a day at this point.
Wow.
Me too. Unfortunately, most of them are sandwiches.
I don't know. Oh my God.
Who's here?
Hold on, people. Brace yourselves. The good doctor
Oh my god.
is making his virgin appearance.
I don't even know what he looks like.
We're gonna. All right, you ready? There he is, the good
Hey.
doctor.
Hey, it's me, the country guy that loves funk and among other things.
Holy crap! This might break the internet.
It could. It's very possible.
Did you have a tornado to handle last night or something? Or?
Yeah, there was a bad tornado Friday right through our town. Not near me, but close to where a lot of friends of mine live. So
Look, and DC said I have good, excellent thumbnails, and DC's a professional. I'm just some hack. Of course, I did do graphic design for about 10 years.
Yeah, so some hack, that happened to do it for 10 years.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the problem is I don't
Me,
spend when I do this stuff, I'm not spending a lot of time on it. I can crank it out pretty fast. I just come up with a concept, put it together, put it up, and I don't put much thought into it. If it looks okay, I go with that.
Well, you work on instinct sometimes, and it works.
Oh, it's
better.
all instinct.
So some people, their process is obviously work it, and then they'll get there. But your instincts are there first time, so
Yeah,
why
but
not?
the wall one, I don't like that one, and I never could. I thought, well, it's fine because everybody else is going to look at it and go think it's fine.
Yeah,
I don't like it, but I didn't want to spend any more time on it. I could never get the idea or the layout that I wanted for that, so I just, well, fuck it, screw
I mean,
it.
that was fine because I was so good in that episode.
Well, considering that episode, is it a masterpiece series? I want to keep doing it because I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
And we had such a great conversation. I mean, if anybody has an idea, throw out whatever album
yeah.
from a band. Let's determine if
Love
it's
Bomb was a masterpiece, right?
Well, that would be I don't know. We didn't talk about it like that.
I mean, obviously, we need to ditch the. We won't have the discussion every time about. Well, my definition of masterpiece isn't quite the same as yours. I mean, that would get rather repetitive.
Yeah, but you have to admit, though, Davey, that was a really good show.
Yes, it was a good show.
It was a good show.
I mean,
We got a lot of great comments on that. So I think it's a good topic because
and it was different too because we did the album as a thematic concept, pardon the pun, rather than like this track. We didn't go through it like that. We talked about the themes. We talked about our experiences with it. So it was a different take on what we normally do in an album review.
I'm putting up DC's comment again so I can look at that again. That means a lot.
Hey,
to him, because he's a
Let's see what the
professional.
doctor has to say.
Yes, doctor.
Hey, good doctor. What do you think of my thumbnails?
oh, your thumbnails are some of the best. They grab your eyes immediately when I flip through them. Like, oh, Grant's got something.
Damn.
Doctor,
And I missed show and tell a minute ago, so
I'm
we're going
just
to do a
glad
quick show and tell.
Yeah.
King's
Ooh.
X.
There we go.
What's
Love
that? The
King's
King's
X.
X box
Yeah.
So
set?
that's the book. Yeah, it's a book with description of every song they've ever done
song by song.
by the band. A guy interviews them and talks to them, and they describe how they wrote every song.
Love that.
May
Pretty
I
amazing.
ask you where you're from? Sorry.
I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh wow, that is amazing. That is the most wonderful accent. That is
Why, thank you.
Even better than your own, right?
well. I sound like myself to me, so I don't really hear it. That is like a Levon Helm accent to me, and he was from West Helena, Arkansas.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's right on the eastern side. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Michael Chavez, masterpiece versus perfect album.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, wouldn't a perfect album be a masterpiece?
That
No,
deal?
no, that was part of my
No?
point the other night. You weren't paying attention, Grant. Oh,
Oh, Davey, I can barely keep up with you.
I know,
Jesus,
man.
You're like on another level. If I had Reed on here, I don't even know what I would do.
Can't really see that.
What
one.
album is that?
Literally drinking
Which
straight
album is
water.
that?
What
That
is
is-
that? Dio?
That's Dio picture disc. It's
The single.
the single live in Donington.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
God, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
stand
keep,
up and shout and rock and roll children.
And what a famous concert as well.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna keep DC's comment up there because I think that might be the best comment I've had all night.
We're not going to be able to see the doc.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean, it's
shit.
shot.
All right, show your shit so I can get DC's comment back up.
I am.
What is that?
Vinyl.
King's
King's
X.
X.
tape it.
That
I
looks
don't
like
think I've
some
ever
kind of
seen that on
secret.
Record Store Day, King's X tape head
Oh, tape head.
I think I have that
on
on
pink
CD.
vinyl.
A lot of
Yeah.
people like that Tapehead album. They think it's quite one of the best ones.
Oh yeah,
Doc,
great.
what did you think of the comeback album last year, Doc?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
I know it's some people didn't, but I really did. I mean, I'm a sucker for him. I saw him live for the first time many years ago at an old Coliseum here in Little Rock called Barton Coliseum, where all the concerts came, and they opened for somebody I can't remember who, but from the Faith, Hope, Love album, that was the tour. And I was blown away and immediately was like, where do I get stuff these guys have made? What do I need to do here? And
What's their
loved
best
them every
album?
bit, so.
What's their best album?
That's hard.
No,
Dog
that's
Man
the Who.
immediately
That's
comes
the
to
Who.
No, that's the Who.
Dog Man. I love.
Gretchen.
Gretchen.
Oh yeah, Gretchen. Great.
Gretchen and Dog Stars are two main choices. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many.
I'll tie both of yours in, Doctor. I saw King's X open for Dio on the
Oh wow, there you go.
killing the Dragon tour.
Oh
Man.
god,
May as
amazing.
well just jump off a bridge after a double bill like that. You're not going to talk.
That's
I
right.
saw him headline in a club for Dogman and what is it? 16. What was the album before the newest one? 16,
Oh, that was-
13 or
Oh god, what was it? Yeah, was it Orgs or was it 16?
whatever the Roman numeral. I saw him headline for that as well. It was a good show. So
Yeah, amazing. Every time I've seen them in small bars in Little Rock, and just
small bars.
completely amazing. Yeah.
I love all the side project stuff with Doug as well. I think he's a real genius.
Oh shit! New
Yep.
King's X. I can't put it in their best albums category.
Yeah, that's kind of what I am. A bit like the Porcupine Tree thing. I was like, oh, I wanted it to be so amazing, but it didn't rock my world.
I mean, do you think King's X has jumped the shark?
No, it's just
No.
It's
No,
our fault. We build these things up in our heads.
It's definitely not their best one, but I didn't hate it. I can say that. I didn't hate it for sure.
What's
They
the
had
best
so much
King's
time
X
to make
album?
it. I think people thought it'd be better than it was. I think.
Yeah.
But
Gretchen, the
Yeah.
best King's X album?
Probably so. I mean, it's hard. I love Tapehead.
No,
I mean, they
that's
all
the
have
Who
their songs
again.
that I absolutely love.
Damn it, Doctor! You keep bringing up the Who.
Doug's
I've
not
always
our
thought
friend.
King's X was a band that always just marched to their own heartbeat.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're not chasing trends. They're not trying to create trends. This is what is intrinsically in them as artists at the time. And that works for me on pretty much every level. And
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
some I'm going to connect with more than others.
Right.
But I have a lot of respect for musicians who just kind of say, I'm doing art because I need to do art and this is who I am.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the mark of a true artist.
Yeah.
You do sometimes actually say, I'm not on board with this, but I know it's good anyway,
Right.
It's a very Bowie-like phenomenon, where I feel, I can't get into this, but I know it's good, but there's a coldness, there's a detachment.
Right.
I think that's where art comes into, rather than just 3 chords and the truth.
Right.
Ooh, 3 chords and the truth. I like that.
There's a title of something right there.
That sounds like a something.
I'm pretty sure I didn't invent that. I'm probably stealing it from Peter Graunik or some great writer.
Isn't that Bono? Isn't that you too?
It's probably you too.
Probably is, because I might as well be Junior Bono. at this stage.
It's either you two or Tiny Tim, one of the two. I'm not sure which one.
I'd love an album of Tiny Tim does the Bono classics. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Oh, Tiny Tim was a national treasure.
Oh.
I just can't believe we had the good doctor making an appearance, drinking a Yingling, for God's sake.
Having a Yingling on a Sunday evening, what could be better?
What's a
Talking music
Yingling?
with friends and having a beer.
Well, I appreciate you coming on.
You
That
bet.
reminds
Thanks
me,
for
we need
having
to
me.
do that. God, I feel so bad because we talked about doing the funk episode, and I have not been a very good host.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Got a name for
Well,
the series?
here's the other thing that I appreciate about Grant. And this
Oh,
is
good.
not
Blow some more smoke up my ass.
Yeah,
I'm ready. Go
Let
ahead.
the fellatio continue. Jeez, Louis.
I mean, gee, at least you could buy me dinner first, for God's sake. Go ahead,
Well-
Peter. I'm ready to listen to you again.
he's open to everything. He's open to everything. It's his
Oh, for
channel.
God's sake.
He could easily dictate and say, "This is my agenda. This is what I want to do. You're on board or you're not." And there are people who run channels like that.
Oh, I wouldn't do that.
And I feel absolutely blessed that I've had an idea or two that he's kind of embraced, and I feel really cool about that. And we've just started scratching the surface of something we hope is going to be a real long-term thing. But you have to feel comfortable enough to say, "Hey, I've got an idea. What do you think?"
Well, I always want ideas. Anybody who watches this channel,
Don't take that for granted, Grant.
I always want ideas. I like it.
I'll send you a list tomorrow morning.
All right,
That's
I got
not
a
true across the
Byron,
board.
you do that all the time. I'm so tired of your lists. I cannot keep up.
We got to get back to our Zappa shows one of these days.
Here, look at this. Look, Pennsylvania beer. Yeah. You ever do the Good Doctor? Did you ever do the Yingling tour?
No, I'm not. I would love to.
Who else goes hard rock? Well, I don't do much.
Right, the metal. It's a swear word to Grant, remember.
Well, that's all right. I just did. Well, I can talk.
I want to ask the doctor something.
Yes.
I do.
Doc, how did you get into Grant's show, or how did you like it, or how did you find it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you, Ernesto.
I found him by seeing him on the Contrarians.
Oh, okay.
And
I
did.
get all my people.
I can't remember which show it was. I just liked his perspective on whatever they were talking about. And I think at that time he might have mentioned that he was either had his channel or about to start it maybe. And I kind of kept up and found it, and I was hooked because, like I said in my comment earlier, I think I know so much about music, and all my friends, any question about music, they come to me, and all that. Just kind of always been that way. But then I hear Grant talk about an artist or an album I've never heard of in my entire life, and I go listen to it and go, wow, maybe some of it I don't like, some of it I'm like, I can't believe I've missed this since the early 80s or something. So that immediately got me hooked, and he was so nice, chatting back and forth. I would make comments and he would say, hey, this and that, and I was like, whoa, this guy's really here with people that are may want to watch. And I've been here ever since. He asked me to do a funk show that we'll eventually get to,
that I failed to deliver.
Well, you haven't failed yet until you just never deliver.
The problem is that I usually communicate through Messenger with everybody, not because that's the way it was planned, but it's easier for me to set up a group chat in Messenger, and we can all talk that way.
Well,
and when we're not all on Messenger, it makes it hard for me, and I have a very limited attention span.
I got you. Well, we can make the Messenger thing happen, so we'll work that out too.
You're also, since
I'd love to get on there.
Since James Brown passed away, the hardest working man in showbiz, because
me,
yes, how often do you finish a show and say, right, I've got another one in 5 minutes, so I need to go, guys?
A lot, every day.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas
it's because Davy, it's because I can't get enough. This is the whole. I can't get enough of it. I'll just say yes to anything because I love it so much.
I had a girlfriend like that once, and
well, then you should have kept her.
No,
because that doesn't happen very often.
No, it wasn't me that ended it.
Yeah, well, that's how it works.
But yeah, she said yes to somebody else, unfortunately.
Shit happens. Yeah, I know what that is. All right, anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, generally, you've been so open to everything, and the idea is when you're not. So, say metal, for example, you wouldn't just dismiss it out of hand. You would just say, well, I'll need to assemble a bunch of people that know about it. So, what you don't do is make it to fake it. You don't sit there and try and keep up with the Joneses.
Well, I can talk metal. I don't talk it.
So what you freely admit though is these guys on the panel, whichever panel it may be at that point, if you're not up to date on that band or don't know as much, you will freely say that and say, I'll just leave it up to these guys.
Well, I like hostings.
And play host, exactly. Whereas what other channels really do that? I've not got much interest, but I'll host it anyway, just for you guys. Because you recognize, like a programmer of radio or television or film, anything like that, that it isn't all about what you want to make. It's not just a passion project. I treat my channel more like a passion project, but with you,
Yeah,
it is
do.
more.
That's for
it is-
sure.
Yeah, because if I go on a rant about the Tories or something, I don't want to tar everybody with the same brush and have you all getting hate mail. I get enough of that. But the idea on your channel of I'll play host sometimes, and you can discuss it, whatever you want, and give people that platform. People like Peter, as he said, he doesn't have his own channel. Because if we all had our own channels, it would be rather repetitive. If absolutely everybody, we can all have a niche, but at some point there is going to be some kind of cannibalization of the whole thing if everybody was talking about the same thing, because there's only so many ways you can come at it. So you've given a platform, a voice to the voiceless, if I can be rather pretentious about it. So.
Yeah, but there are other channels like that. I would not be doing this if it wasn't for the Contrarians, gentlemen.
But there's an example, though, the Contrarians. If I say to, not that I need to, because again, I can just do it myself, but if I say to them, let's do a show on pulp, Martin would say,
Oh, no, that won't happen.
Exactly.
But I'll do pulp easily.
If I said to you, let's do pulp. Well,
Yeah,
actually,
let's do it. Now you got me all excited, Davy. Let's get it on the calendar.
You would do it, but you don't dictate that on Contrarians, or you don't dictate that on Sea Tranquility. You can make suggestions, sure, or you can put things up for a vote if it's the Contrarians, but you're not just going to,
Well, I don't care if it's going to get. Who is talking pulp? If you throw out a band or an artist that no one talks about,
me and Peter Kerr did a pulp video. But apart from
that, I don't. Peter Kerr, he's not here today, so who's that?
Exactly.
Right. I don't care. I don't know what he's doing. He doesn't have near the subscribers I do. Anyway,
and some of them are Australian.
Yeah, Australia is like a foreign country.
A bunch of convicts.
A bunch of convicts. They don't know what they're talking about. But pulp is a good, I would jump on that in a second. But I will talk metal. I have nothing against metal. I can talk metal if I want to, but I don't. Everybody talks that.
There's another element here, and Dave was hitting on it.
Go ahead.
That yes, it's important, and you have and still have a large, expansive amount of topics that you want to get to that by limitation cannot be addressed in, let's say, a Contrarians environment.
Oh no!
So, but that's one element of it,
right?
But you have the second element. The second element is your need and want to have a conversation.
That's the number one thing.
Not separate dictations.
Not 6 monologues, yeah.
This is, and I'm not slogging anybody else's thing. This is what we're talking about here. If the topic is album X, some environments, if you've got 5 people, you get 6 dissertations about album X.
I don't do that. No way.
And people go, well, thank you for joining us. And we all go, bye.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's not. No. I just want us to get together and talk music. That's all I care about.
It's the things in between the conversations that you learn things about people.
Yes.
It's the things unrelated to the exact topic that enlightens you about somebody's mindset or their history.
Right.
But now you can take that and go, oh, I know a little bit more about that person now. And when we talk again, I'll be able to keep that in the back of my mind, and I'll understand, oh, that even makes more sense. And now we start to build the R word, relationships.
Well, it's all about relationships. Like I said, you guys are all my brothers. I'm just saying.
It's a different way of doing things. And while the inspiration to get the chutzpah to go ahead and do this may have come from the Contrarians, you've gone a completely different path. You are in a completely different place. And it's become your thing, not a copy of them, or not. It's great. It's great to be inspired. It's great to be motivated to go out and say, hey, I can do that because I've got something to say. But then instantly it becomes less about what you have to say in a format for people like myself who are wandering minstrels to be able to contribute at your behalf. And that's what makes it work. And that's why I'm here.
Plus, there's not as many Canadians.
Yeah, there's no Canadians right now.
Yeah.
None of you come off as analog retentive. Maybe there are maybe 1 or 2 channels like that.
I don't know. I've not been to the doctors in a few
I
weeks.
don't know, but I talk in stereo.
Yeah. I'm a bit cold myself, but don't tell anybody.
I think I
dream
know
in
what
infrared.
I think I know what
Yeah, there you
Mike's
go.
saying there. If I fill in the letters, I think I might know what he means.
Yeah.
Well, we just do what we do here. It's all about the music. It's not about the medium.
But when you go back, Grant, and
Yes, sir.
Let's turn it into.
Yes, Davey, go ahead. What
Q&A.
else do you have to say? Go ahead.
I have plenty to say, sir, and I will speak my mind.
Of course.
The impetus for starting the channel, as you said, was Contrarians. But then,
Well, that's because
you
I
had-
couldn't get it enough. I had back in the old days when I contributed ideas to the show,
and they weren't.
I
yet.
would just.
Yeah.
There were so many ideas that there was no way I could.
But when you had when you hit create channel, that button, when you hit that button and you did
Yes, sir.
what your mind said, what I'd like
Mhm.
to achieve in a year. Did you have anything in mind for 6 months, 12 months, or did you just say wherever I land is wherever I land?
Wherever I land is wherever I land. I don't put that much thought to it. I run on instinct. And at this point, it's all about you guys coming up with topics. And I pick and choose and go, that sounds good. Let's do that. I mean, back in the beginning, it was all me coming up with topics. But now the channel has gotten to the point where it's just kind of a machine. And I don't mean that as good or bad. I mean, I still say, well, that sounds like a good topic. And if someone comes with me at a topic, I may tweak it a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I am nowhere. I'm just some guy that wants to talk music. That's all I am.
You know what it reminds me of is in the good old days, like the 80s and the 90s, when I would go to a record store and I would meet people there and that was looking at some album, or they would start talking about some album I'm looking at, and all of a sudden we would become friends over music. You don't here in Arkansas, you find record stores way up in the northwestern part of the state, but those kind of things don't really exist anymore. But here, all of a sudden, I find Grant and I'm like part of all this now. That's like, it's pretty amazing. It kind of feels like that to me, because who would, when I first saw Ernesto and he's the 8-track guy, and I'm like, where in the world would I have ever met a guy that collects 8-tracks in these days? But thank God for, YouTube, and Grant is, I have met a guy that collects 8-tracks now. It's just really cool, man.
Actually, wonder why Ernesto's here. 8-track guy. How's that fit in? But whatever. We let him in for the hell of it. It's okay.
Yeah, Ernesto's got plenty else to offer.
I keep Byron around in case my amp breaks, and I can send it to him so he can fix it.
That's right.
Just joking.
And I do AV for a living. I install commercial AV equipment for a living. So I'm, and I was a sound guy for years. Toured on the road. Casey and the Sunshine Band, the Kenny Rogers, all kinds of stuff.
Well, you worked for Casey and the Sunshine Band?
Yeah, my company did, just contract work. We go out for a few weeks with a band. I did lights and I moved into sound, and now I install and kind of help design audio setups for my company that I work for.
I wish you hadn't said that. Doc.
There's DC.
All I'm going to do now
There's
is
DC again. That's
to
what.
myself.
There aren't a lot of that's the thing. It's a small community.
That's going to be.
I mean, we're just not talking. Well, DC's got a good point, and the good doctor has a good point. This is a channel about music. This isn't an audio file. Even though I hang out over on Rachel's channel to shoot the shit.
And Rachel's a good person, yeah.
But this is a music channel, not an audio file or a medium channel. It's just people, like-minded people getting together and talking music. That's all I want to do. That was the goal originally, and that's my goal to continue. Because eventually, I'll be too old and I won't be able to do it. But wait a minute, where's that one thing again? Hold on.
If he pulls up this thing saying he's good at thumbnails again, I'm going to punch him.
Shh. Wait. Shh. I can't find it. There it is. Let me keep that. A little bit.
He's playing the greatest hits. folks.
But anyway, gentlemen, we've gone 3 hours and 9
Yeah,
minutes.
I was just about to say I got to run.
Well, I have to work tomorrow,
Me
and
too.
I'd like to go to bed, but I say we wind this up. I want to thank everybody. Let me get rid of this because it is kind of annoying how DC's gloating about my thumbnails.
Now he says that just as we're wrapping up.
You can't see the doctor.
Here, let me clean that off. Because
After
wait a
the
minute, I'm
14th
back
day.
up. Anyway, this was a great birthday celebration. Kids, there's more on the way, and all of you are, of course, welcome for the ride. I mean, the good doctor, if there's something you want to be on, always everyone, can you email me or send me a message on? You're all welcome. If I'm so busy, though, if I forget somebody, please, it's not anything that I mean to do.
You got to keep reminding Grant. He'll
It
forget.
happens.
I will forget. It
You
does.
stay on him.
You have to stay on it because it's so busy. When I'm doing 2 shows a night, I can't. I'm like a damn machine. Let me wait a minute. Let me check my subscribers real quick. Hold on.
Subscriber check.
2030.
Dang.
I had 2,000 yesterday, so getting 30
Nice.
today is a good day.
So he's bought another 30 here, man.
I bought another 30. I did
man.
not buy anything.
Hey, Ernesto's on to you, pal.
I can guarantee you, I'm not buying shit. This is just hard work. And
Yeah.
anybody could get that if you just crank it.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all it is.
absolutely.
So anyway, I want to thank you, gentlemen, for coming on. It was a lot of fun. I love you all like brothers. And if anybody has any ideas for shows, please just send me a message, for God's sake.
I got
I'm an equal opportunity employer.
Except for Canadians, apparently.
Not tonight. Hey, the Canadians were invited.
But like most Canadians, they're rude and they don't respond.
I think
They
they're
don't,
asleep
they're
by now.
Famously,
I'm surprised Ryan didn't. Ryan Gavalier didn't show up. I'm a little
Ryan's working
disappointed.
in the record store at the moment.
Oh. At 10 o'clock at night.
Well, it was only 10.
Hey, look, you've got one of those.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I've got one of those. I don't have it here right now, but
I've got a special thanks in it as well.
Do you?
Mm.
Look
Nice.
at you.
Everybody should help Ryan. Go.
Yeah, he has
Listen
his
to it-
first
listen to
EP.
his new
Before we
music.
sign up, Ryan Gavalier has produced his first EP. It's available. Apple Music. It's everywhere. You can stream it. You can buy it if you contact him. But yeah, he's put out his first EP, and we're very proud of what Ryan has accomplished. It's actually pretty good.
No, it's brilliant. The
It's
tape tracks.
Brilliant.
Epic.
Davy says it's brilliant.
Yeah, no, I've said this to Ryan, and I'm not blowing smoke at a friend because that would be rude to do. Actually, I don't know why.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Why does that even become an expression? But yeah, the title track, Cynthia itself, is one of the best tracks I've heard all year. It is phenomenal. It is epic. It is vast. It is the soundtrack to a movie that doesn't exist. It's brilliant.
But I think Ryan's one of those, Todd, that I think started out with us on that channel about the same time on the Contrarians.
Yeah, I think so.
Ryan had his
Well-
channel first, though. He always likes to
Well,
point
I know, but we met Ryan through the everything
Ryan
has
and I
happened
both
through
had
the
channels first. We
Contrarians.
always point that out. But yeah, Ryan's is obviously putting his time into the music at the moment, and then wrapping up the Queen series. But who knows what the future will bring? And then other people will no doubt come along with channels, and the channels evolve and change. You know, so who knows what the future will bring? But we'll hopefully be there to see it happen.
Yeah, well, we're a team, gentlemen. All right, I want to thank everybody for coming on and shooting the shit with me on my birthday.
Love it.
I can hardly wait to see what year 2 brings.
Well,
But
I tell you what,
it's always an adventure, gentlemen. It's always
definitely
fun.
bringing the Beach Boys, Summer Days and Summer Nights tomorrow. on
We're
Grand
doing that
Show.
tonight. So Davy and Ryan will be here tomorrow. We're looking at the Beach Boys Summer Days and Summer Nights from 1965. There you go.
And we've got
All right.
1972 coming up this month, right?
We do. I don't have my book with me. Like
Yeah,
I should always bring my book. But Peter and I are going to do a show on our favorite tracks from 1972.
Of course I do.
And God knows, I know Todd and I have Matthew Sweet next week.
Funk show.
Funk show eventually. Everybody, Ernesto, you're on Messenger, right? I can't remember.
I'm on, yeah, pretty much.
Oh,
I'm
nice.
on Instagram too. You know that.
I know you need to get on the map. Oh yeah, I've got that, Dr. Funkenstein. That's Matthew Sweet signed that. Yeah, on the label. I've got that. So anyway, let's wrap this up. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on.
All right, good night, everybody.
For the
It was
opportunity.
fun shooting the shit with you guys, and
Happy
we'll see you on the
anniversary.
next one. Thank you very much. I feel warm and gooey.
Me too, but a half bottle of rum will do that to you.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's wrap this up. We'll see you, and everybody have a. I was going to say have a good weekend, but
Well, there's always a next weekend.
We will next weekend.
have a great next weekend. All right, gentlemen. We'll see you. Good night.
Yeah, everybody.